Welcome everyone to a very special edition of the GG Millions. It is a bracelet event, and when it's the biggest prize pool, the biggest names, who do we got? We got Daniel Negreanu in the house. Daniel, thank you for joining.
It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to see what all these guys were doing to me all week. You know, now we get to see the whole cards and be like, aha, you're full of it. Okay. I know there's a few guys at this table right now that are full of it quite often, but to be a good poker player, sometimes you got to like pretend you got good cards.
Absolutely. Well, listen, you were streaming yesterday. Those who are tuning in can watch. Daniel was streaming the events, got deep in this one. I forget what place you got, 70 something. We're in the mix. Hopefully we're going to find a substitute for you today, but you flew back, you're here, you did the streams, and now we're going to play for 1.9 million to first in this GG Million event. So some of the names I'm sure you're familiar with. We're going to take a look at who is at this final table. We're going to get to see some hands from this final table that led us to this point. We're going to get to take a look at the country rankings, Daniel. Like the Olympics, you can see here the first, you see the second, the thirds. There is free rolls awarded, $1 million dispersed to the top 10 country finishes. There is some movement today that could, as it's the last bracelet event, could affect the free rolls. We're going to look at that as well. As you see Germany in the lead, Russia in second. And it's always kind of confusing. Germany, Austria, I just kind of bucket those countries together. Really tough, talented players we see every week on GG Millions. Almost every single stream, there's 1 to 4 Austrian flags. So we'll see who's where. As the chip leader from Serbia, as you see some of the names. I know you've battled with some of these guys online recently as well as live. Some of the Sergio Ado, Panikov, some big names here. You can see some of the countries that are at stake. Who would you say you've played with the most from this group, Daniel?
Well, I would say that the person I probably played with the most is Sergio Ado. And then second to that would be Panikovs, who I think is a really good up-and-coming player. And I know that because I spoke to Phil Ivey, who rarely, discusses other players. And he had some praise for, because I think they played a heads up or something like that at the World Series. And he thought this guy, he picked off an Ivy bluff, which is difficult to do. So some really good players here. I also played with some of the others in this tournament, Christopher Wynn, and of course, James Mitchell Hopkins. I played with those. The rest, new to me.
Some new names. So again, a little mix of the best and then some of the unknowns, and we're going to get to see those players, see who gets to come away with the 1.9 million. Here's a look at a few of the hands from some of the players with countries still involved with the leaderboard. This is going pretty fast deal here, but nines on Queen, Deuce. Gets check raised all in and bang.
Yeah, they laugh at me when I call a Queen 7. That's probably why, because nines hit, right? 3 queens. What? That reminds me of Moneymaker when he beat Phil Ivey in that same sort of spot.
Ace, queen to nines. I remember that. That was an epic hand. Well, here he is again. Roman getting involved. That's a little more conclusive. That's a pretty safe board for sevens, as he is gonna try to get some more money in.
He's trapping. Check. He's trapping. Did he get no action?
He shipped it in. Yeah, he shipped it all in. No one called in the river, but you can see.
He gave him every chance. 3 checks, bro. What can he do?
He did do his best to get some action. There's a look at Jinlong Hu, who is rocking today. He representing for China, as he has got a shot to move up the leaderboard for his country's free roll. If you're from one of the countries listed, there is a free roll. If you participated in a WSOP Online event, you are eligible if you finish in the top 10. The countries here, we can see aces. Nice to get your money in with aces against another big name, Juan Pardo Dominguez. Sure, you played a lot with him. That's a pretty nasty cooler. Aces to kings, but that would be all she wrote there. And we're going to get to see Jinlong operate 2 big hands.
Where are these hands when I need them?
Play, Daniel.
Bro, where are these hands? I was playing this tournament. I got 9 deuce, queen 3. These guys, every time they turn over aces and kings, impressive. Oh, man.
But Ilya, another impressive player. He did have a sweat there to get the club. Didn't take down kings and ace or a club, but there's a look at Jinlong Hu, who is in a good spot with a big amount of chips. And he is, I guess I should say, middle. He's middle short, 27, not a ton, but there's a guy you mentioned, Panikovs, over 18 million in lifetime live earnings. Crazy resume on GG. You said maybe who you played with. Some of the most, 34 big blinds right in the middle of the pack. I think we're going to get to see a hand from him here as well as Panikov. These are all premiums, Daniel. These aren't that hard to play, these hands.
Anyone can do this. Like, give me these cards. I'll be just fine. Oh, and ace on the flop, nice and clean, easy peasy. What, the top 2? Why not? Like, oh, when you got somebody betting into you?
Just call. There is a flush. Does just call. Does win a big pot. And there's a mix. A look at 2 of the players from the final table that are both here. And 2 of the players you said maybe the most well-known or at least experienced that you've played with there, as we see a little. All right, here's a little different hand. 9-7 of clubs.
It's more my speed now. Like 9-7. Okay, this is the streets right now, not aces against kings. It's a little more poker.
little decisions going on. He does take it down against ace-10 off. And again, in middle of the pack, 5th place today, he is in a good position. And we will reference your again, residence versus nationality. You can relate to that a bit, myself as well, being USA, but set up where I travel and have to play outside of the country, you know, doing it the right way. But we will reference who is what, because it is not the flags you see on the table. You can take a look, take a snapshot of this, because these are the countries of nationality, and these are what is relevant to the leaderboard. So I know, Daniel, you wrote this down. I got my notes. If you're watching at home, take note of that, because the flags will show differently at times. Some of the players don't rock the same one. So there's 124 blinds for Jovan today. 1 BB. I didn't even notice that, Daniel. We got a 1 big blind stack. I mean, talk about chipping a chair. Made it to the final table. Lexi Boyka is with 1 big blind. Do you have one of those stories? I know we've seen it. Moneymaker just did it at Triton. You've had some 1 or 2 blind comebacks? You must have in your day. You've played a lot of tournaments.
Honestly, I'm not that guy. Usually I don't like lead down. I think typically when you see people get down to 1 or 2 bigs, it's they're taking into consideration pay jumps and things like that. You know, we're just squeaking the money. I'm not that kind of guy, but I've seen, like, the king of that is Sean Winter, Kerry Katz. Like, they play 3 big blind stacks for days and just chill, you know, and wait to get it in and all of a sudden spin it up. And who knows, they're chip leader.
Yeah. Well, you know, you never know. He might have played 125 big blind pot versus Jovan on the bubble. We don't know what happened, but he's got 1 big blind. He's got a lot of work for him. And we do have some interesting dynamics today on the finishing of the countries. We'll reference that in a little bit. You can see what we're playing for, though. Everyone guaranteed 243,000, 1.9 of top. Crazy on a 10K online tournament. This type of money, top 3 getting over $1 million. Daniel, would you imagine this 20 years ago in online poker? And, you know, the Sunday Million was a big tournament. Now seeing these type of prizes and bracelets, does this shock you even today, or are you not surprised at this point?
Well, let me tell you, son, back in the day, I remember the old days when they said, we're going to play $30 and $60 limits. I said, are you crazy? That's way too big for online. And then they threw out 100, 200. And today you see this 10K with a $2 million prize pool. You've got even bigger ones. I played the 25K. And of course we have, you know, the flights you can play online on GG to get to Bahamas, the road. And I tried that 3 times. So I'm already in 78,000 in that one. And I'm going to keep on firing when I get to Bahamas.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. I was saying, you know, talking to Michael too, I saw your promo for it, and you were actually, I could tell you were genuinely saying you're crazy. 25K, 50 mil, that does help to have some online flights. I'll be there in Bahamas. I know you'll be there. That's going to be an epic tournament. 25K, 50 mil, that is absolutely insane. We're going to dive into the action. We're going to talk about what is at stake with what country can finish where in terms of free rolls. I'll update you on that. And again, just a caveat, these country flags are not representing the country all the time. There's only, I think, 2. Russian flag is Russia, and we also had one other who is the same flag, which I believe, Daniel, if I'm not mistaken, it was Latvia. That's Panakov's is rocking where he is from. Other than that, I'll update you on that. You saw it before. And here's Boyka, King Deuce in the big blind. Really no decision here. He's got all his chips in. He is, I don't think you can take it further down to the felt than this, Daniel.
You know, he actually probably could, oddly enough, because he's like thinking, well, there's a small chance that maybe somebody goes broke here and maybe I make the page up, because he's already pretty much like way behind. So I think that's a real consideration. I wouldn't fold personally, but I think, you know, you could potentially fold this and then try to win the small blind hand and maybe, you know, have a ladder or 2. But he goes with it, which I don't.
He is going to go for it, and he's going to need a little 3-5 runners. We did see some epic runners with the 6-4 last week, twice, 6-4 off, runner twice for big spots. But here he's against middle set jacks. He needs some help. The king is not going to do it anymore as jacks come out betting. And now Mitchell.
A little unfortunate, really, for James here that he's not up against an ace, because, you know, if he's up against ace, king, ace, queen, he might get 2-3 streets of value. But with just jacks, you know, I can't imagine Jovan's going to lose a lot of chips on this pot, especially with an all-in player. Although it's such a very small amount of chips for the side pot, you know, you still see like less bluffing going on when the hand's going to have to get the showdown by a little bit at least.
Yep. No, it makes sense. And now, I mean, nines loves the board. Ace, 9, 4 deuce, just about as nice as it gets. Goes for relatively smallish sizing. There is 1.9 plus 1.5. Makes sense though. Dry board, doesn't need to bet big. Bets here. And Jovan has a little bit of a decision. Doesn't love how this is playing out, although the price is.
I think it's a fold. Like, I just think it's a fold, right? You're just really hoping that, like, you have Jack, which blocks a lot of the bluffs that might be Jack, Queen suited, King, Jack suited, those types of suited Broadway hands that might play this way. So you have a bad hand to call with here, and you have to really, oh, wow, he did call. So he's called twice now. I guess it is small sizing. And that ace on the river, that's like awesome for James. James thinks he's probably going to get, a big, now I think he's going to go big now on that ace and really hope that Jovan has an ace.
Yeah, it is a great card for him and a really bad card for Jovan here, as it's going to be a little less likely his opponent has an ace. So let's see what he goes with. Very interesting. This, I think, is what separates the good from the great, Daniel. Bet sizing and understanding where your opponent is and what you can extract. So he goes for 4.3. It's big, not greedy, but big. And he is going to get the knockout. And we are down to 8 on the first hand. Boyka there. Interesting hand to look at if he could fold or not. I think, like you said, I wouldn't fold myself. You could argue there is a possibility for a pay jump. So
I think the most interesting part of that hand was really the jack's call on the turn. Like that's one where you have to make a tough decision. And I guess what Jovan went with is like, listen, I'll call this turn for cheap. And if he fires a third barrel, then I'll probably get away from it, which is exactly what he did. Queen 10 suited folding, noticing that. Ponakov, how tight are you? No, it makes sense against early position. It's a speculative hand. You're not all that deep where you want to be taking flops if you're Ponakovs with, ICM factor and that sort of thing. He is one of the shorter stacks too. So, you can't play all loosey-goosey from against early position raises with the Queen 10 suited.
Yeah, you got to draw the line somewhere. He does make a fold there as we see ace 5 off. These are always tough. We do see players sort of utilizing light 3 bets, sort of these king rag, ace 5, ace 4 offhand. It is early position.
I think, you don't do that as much against an early position raise.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's like cutoff or button, you're doing that a little more often. But I think here, probably the most standard play is call. You can 3-bet. I don't think you can fold. Oh, wow. He is going for the big 3-bet. Wow. And he got the king queen to fold. Very nice. He's using his chip leverage there to really put the heat on.
It's interesting too, because his risk premium is the lowest, Sergio, right? So it's like he to put that pressure there. It's not as much pressure as like a 9 million stack or someone a little bit more chips. So that is interesting. Sergio did have a hand. He was raised folding, and a nice play there from Jovan. Not everyone's making that for sure. Most would say are not. So he does.
As you know, obviously, when you are the chip leader, it allows you a little more leeway to push the envelope and apply max pressure on your opponents. And that's, exactly what he did there.
Yeah, nice execution, nice situation, nice early action. We see a knockout already and some aggressive maneuvers. Sergio also really experienced, but very short, so doesn't have a lot of room to work with. We did see him raise fold though.
Short. Like short is all relative. I remember back in the early days, people thought if you had less than 15 big blinds, you just got to go in with any 2. But I think modern theory has taught everyone that actually having 10 to 15 big blinds is a substantial stack. You can still have some play. You can have some raise folds. You don't have to just jam any ace with 14 big blinds. A big mistake I think a lot of beginning players make, is thinking like, man, I'm behind the average. Like, so what? You've got time. Relax. Patience.
Yep.
Queen 10 off folding there against the under the gun raise. Again, I think this is a function of Sergio's stack size. He wants to maintain some leverage so that, he can maybe, get some 3-bet shoves through and doesn't want to like have too small of a stack. So here you're going to see a button raise. And I don't know. I'm interested to see if Christopher defends this with king 7 off.
Yeah, see Jin Long go for a min raise. One of the countries that is involved today, if China were to take first, they would go from 8th place to 3rd. And that is there's a couple caveats with that, but that's basically the high level of that. So if you're, again, rocking a Vietnam flag, his residence, but nationality is China. We're going off nationality, Olympic style finishing. So here we go. Ace 9, king 7. King 7 does defend. Ace 9 gets a decent flop, goes for the continuation bet. And Christopher.
Yeah, the king 7 is probably just going to fold here. But notice the king 7 defends here. And the reason it does is because it's against the button raise. If it was an early position raiser, now king 7 off doesn't do nearly as well against that range. You assume the button's going to open up a little wider, which makes king 7 for a min raise. You're getting a very good price. It's too good to just fold. This will be interesting here with the queen 7 off. Obviously, Ponakovs has a fold. Is this enough for Christopher to decide to jam with or just limp? He's going to go for the limp. I think with these stack sizes, I like the limp with queen 7. Now, Ponakovs, because this is pretty close to bottom of range, he may elect to like make it 3x or close to and just try to win the pot here and hope that Christopher was limping light, which he is. And, it might do better in the long run just trying to pick it up now than trying to play a flop because there's no future with 10-5 offsuit. Nothing sexy. And that's exactly what he does, as you can see here. He's coming with a raise to try to win that pot now, feeling like in the long run, this is going to be more profitable than taking the free flop and try to realize equity with a bad hand. and it's going to work, you see? So leverage, right? I don't blame Chris for how he played it, and I like how Ponikov's. I'm not surprised. As I said, I thought that, he's pretty close to bottom range. He's going to raise this one up.
Yeah, it's a great point. Let us know where you're watching from in the chat. We will have giveaways mid-game here, so please hit that thumbs up. Let us know where you're enjoying the stream from, and we do have a Twitter giveaway as well. I saw Daniel can check his Twitter. He did put that out there. Retweet that, $100. So we got 3 giveaways today, and we see a open and a call, ace-10 suited from the chip leader. Maybe too good to 3-bet, definitely too good to fold, so does go with the call.
I think he's going to be concerned too. Again, we're still, 8-handed, and an under the gun raise is going to be pretty strong. So ace-10 suited is fine to play, but do you really want to 3-bet this one? I think I like the flat, even as the chip leader. This isn't the position that you want to be applying the pressure. And the ace-king's going to come for small, which is pretty standard. He's a pre-flop raiser. You would think he has range advantage. He's going to have aces, kings, and queens more, as you'd expect Jovan to 3-bet a lot of those hands. And with just the flat, I think he's thinking Jovan might have like 9s or 10s and whatnot. But even against that, he's got enough equity. And Jovan makes a good fold on the flop.
Oh, Dan, we got a mystery hand right off the gate here for you. This is one I want you to take the lead here. 6-10 off. We get to see that. We're not going to see the other cards. Let's see. Could be most likely a small blind, big blind. I think no real.
I don't see any other ways in this hand.
Kind of limited. I've seen some crazy stuff. GGMillions. We see some wild things, but yes, that's going to be likely blind on blind as that unfolds. So talk me through it.
Yeah, well, this is one that, depending on stack sizes, sometimes you're just going to actually just fold here. Limp is probably the predominant play. And sometimes if you can apply pressure, you're going to come in for a raise of like maybe 2.8 big blinds or something along those lines. We'll be interested to see what James decides to do here, but all 3 available. I think with the stack size, I don't think fold is right. I think he's got at least limp or come with a small raise. He's certainly taking his time. I mean, it's not a great situation. It's one of those where, that's going to be the preferred play. I think for the most part is just to limp. And if it gets raised, I mean, you have just an easy fold. All right, well, now this is interesting. You block your big blind opponent from having a lot of pairs, so that might lead you to want to maybe check trap. But here, what he's going to do is he's probably betting this flop a decent amount, so you have to bet some of your strong hands. And he's denying equity some straight draws. He's trying to get paid by as little as king high, any 4, any 6, any 10. Now 3-5 gets there. And I mean, normally you don't think about, 3-5, but 3-5 is very reasonable for the big blind to have here in this situation. Although some of those would raise pre, but now he's going big. I like it. He's sort of polarizing it. Now putting the real pressure on his opponent, really targeting a 10, hoping that he's up against some sort of 10 that cannot fold. Draws can no longer play, if he does have a straight draw. So there's the 7-8 that gets there as well. But again, I don't think the draw can really call that size on the turn. So I wouldn't be too worried about 7-8. And if I'm James here, I'm going to go for, 2/3 to 3/4 pot and try to get paid by a stubborn 6, maybe even a 4. Or he's going small. Okay, he's going 1/3 pot. All right, this is I mean, on the blocker bet side, this is almost an inducing. This is like, I'm betting this because I want you to raise, right? I don't think he's betting this to fold it. It's too strong of a hand to bet fold.
I agree with you. The thing is about inducing, it just seems like these are one of those spots. There's a 9 million stack, 3.5, a lot of shorter. I don't think this would be a time where players are really going to be going for it necessarily. And I just also think that this is going to be really, if he does he's
also trying to just get called by a 9 or a 6 or something like that.
I'm just saying, if he gets raised, if he gets shot up here, this is pretty gross. That is nasty.
Oh, wow.
Because you're right. You're inducing, but I think situationally, I think the amount of people would actually be taking a bluff spot here with the stack size.
So I'm trying to understand the turn call with the 7-8. And I think the turn call, I think his plan was likely to maybe bluff some rivers, right? Otherwise, you're not getting quite the right price to just call to hit the straight. So if you are calling with the intention of when you miss and a good scare card comes, maybe you bluff it. Let's say, for example, the river was a 3. Maybe you represent like you have a 5 in your hand, and that's reasonable. If I'm James here, I don't see myself folding. Although, again, you don't really beat any value because you have to ask yourself, if this guy's raising, is he going to raise 9s and 6s, 9s and 4s? Probably not, right? He's probably just going to call at this stage. I mean, having said that, you did make a blocker size bet, right? With sort of the intention of getting raised, and he makes the call, and I don't blame him one bit. Yeah, that was pretty unfortunate.
Yeah. Nasty hand. As you said, though, in the limp pot, the whole rate, you could even have had 3-5. He probably would have heard about that in the turn, however. But there's just hands there that beat him. So tough spot. So you think you would call if just as it played? You think you call?
Yeah, if you're going to bet small there, again, part of that is inducing maybe some bluffs. Maybe he's turning a 4 into a bluff or something along those lines. And that's kind of the design of the bet, is to have a very strong hand in your small leading size, so that when you get raised, you can more than defend. Like if you're not calling there with 10s and 6s, then you're over folding for sure.
Right. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Well, here we go. Ace Queen, one of the most difficult hands I feel like to play. That's actually, I believe you busted yesterday.
Yeah.
Ace
No,
Queen
actually I folded in almost the same spot, and the chat laughed at me. Notice there's a raise and a 3-bet in front, right? So he's folding the Ace Queen. I like this fold. I made this exact same fold off 16 big blinds yesterday, and my chat went crazy. You're an idiot, whatever. But see, even though these smart guys do it too sometimes. Again, the reason for it, the raise comes from under the gun, chip leader, and he's being 3-bet from the cutoff. Like, you need a lot of good things. You need a real good parlay for the Ace Queen to be good there. Because if you play it, flatting doesn't really feel right. You're going to have to cold 4 and then just hope that they're both messing around.
Well, we've got ourselves a very interesting situation, and almost went perfect for Ponikovs, who got the better hand to fold, heads up against a dominated hand, but now he gets out flopped, and this could be problematic. He's got a spade working for him in there in the 6-deuce king, but let's see what Alex does here. This is tough. This is not a fun spot against the chip leader out of position.
Yeah, I don't know how problematic it'll be. As you see, he comes with a very small size, and if he gets any sort of playback from Jovan, which I expect to just check call, it's pretty natural check call. Then, Ponikovs has a decision. Does he want to turn this into a bluff, right? So if Jovan has like 9s or 10s, does he want to like fire this bullet, another one, and then maybe jam the river? Having said that, after this bet call, he just has a pot size bet. So with the ace jack, now actually, he may actually bluff this one. I could see Ponikovs going for it. Now, I don't think Jovan has a fold here, though, flopping top pair with the king. But I'm not loving it, because again, if Ponikovs has what he says he has, king jack's in big trouble. It's going to be aces, ace king, kings, maybe some queen queen, king queen suiteds.
Well, really he's telling the story, Daniel. He's coming along. He did pick up the additional outs, maybe a spade. He feels he could bluff that as well, but a 10 would make the nuts. Ace is actually good against the particular hand, but he is going for it. And I mean, this is Jovan doesn't want to give up chips, but it's a big ass.
Yeah, really, this is a function of like a really important concept, which is having range advantage. And Ponikovs was the 3-better, so he does have it. He can represent a lot more strong hands, which is why he fires a double barrel. I think on this river, he has a jack in his hand. He's not really worried about jack 10, so that's not an important blocker in this spot. But if I'm Ponikovs here, I pretty much have bottom of range. And these are spots sometimes where you just go for it. I wonder if he's going to fire it in. Oh, just one time? Just one time he's called. He checks.
Oh, he's opening at ace 10 of spades, I guess. Yeah, not many hands there that he's going to be good against as played. But hey, he did slow it down, did decide that 3 streets wasn't the move there. He is now on the second shortest stack. Two of the bigger names.
Notice too how he leverages stack, right? I think a lot of amateurs might just go, well, if I'm going to bluff, don't I have to bet all my chips? I have less than a pot size bet. Instead, Ponikovs goes for relatively small, leaving himself the option of firing river. But if not, he's still in this tournament with a decent stack. I mean, he's not out of it with almost 6 million in chips. We've got an open rip here for about 10. This is pretty standard, I think. And king queen suited, I think this has to call, despite the early position raise. Might be a little too strong to fold. He just has enough equity against a lot of the hands that Sergio's going to raise with, like any jacks through 7s or 6s. And, would he really jam with aces or kings? Some players might min raise with those hands. I'm not saying Sergio's one of them, but you might want to discount those a little bit. Like, you're not often going to be up against aces, kings, queens, ace, king, ace, queen. So king, queen suited, he's really in the tank with this one. He certainly believes him, it feels like. All right, well, he makes the call.
He is going to go. We're going to see 5 here. King, queen suited to ace, king off. Good flop for ace, king. Doesn't have many things to avoid. Now just a river, queen. That is it. And it can't be a diamond. That would be a chop. So river 10. That is pure. That is a double. Sergio going to get cooking here. Back in the mix. 7.5 million now. Him and Ponikovs still short. Couple short stacks here, Daniel. A couple big stacks. That's what we see when someone has such a big stack. There is usually some much shorter stacks, and that has been the case. Although no one, as you mentioned, not super short. This isn't critical.
Nobody's super short. When you think super short, you're thinking like 7, 8 bigs, right? All these guys have stacks they can play with. Ponikovs in trouble here with 8s. It'll be interesting to see what Jinglong does here, whether or not he wants to take a flop or 3-bet. Against the stack size you're looking at, I think, you could just rip this with the tens.
Yeah, getting ripped on here would not be what Panakovs wants to see, although his stack and this player, he is going to get ripped on, and he's got kind of right on the cutoff of what he doesn't want to be doing.
The problem with eights, right? Okay, so sure, you're hoping the person has ace-5, but if they don't, your best case scenario for the most part is that you're flipping. At this stage of the tournament, I think it might be in Panakov's best interest to go ahead and flip, or at least perceive flip, or in the hopes that that's the case, as well as, understanding that ace-5, ace-4 suiteds and stuff might be in there. So close, tough spot. And he actually makes a really good fold, as it turns out, because you wouldn't fault him there for going with the eights.
Yeah, that was, I mean, that he didn't use too much clock there either. You can see every player with the chess clock there started with 15 minutes. Of course, there's delay, and you can see that some of the clock has already been burned. So we'll see if that comes into play.
You know what? I love these chess clocks, by the way. This is the coolest invention by GGPoker to have this for the final tables. You know what I'd love to see is I'd love to see it from the start, from the very first hand dealt. Let's just, have everybody on a chess clock, and then maybe you give more time every round, just like a small amount. And that
it does
way,
seem like it conditions people just in general
time
to play
is a commodity.
faster.
What's that?
Yeah. It just seems like it conditions everyone to play.
Well, what it does is it treats time as a commodity, right? If you take 30 seconds every time and I take 10, I don't get anything for that, right? In this format, you take 30 every time I take 10, there's a cost to you, because when you need more time in a tough spot, you won't have it. So I think online poker is the best place to try this. Again, Panakovs with a couple opens in a row. That's really frustrating when you get shorter on chips and you're just trying to pick up the blinds or see a flop and you keep getting 3-bet. And he's not doing anything wrong. He's opening hands that have to open. Sometimes in poker, that's just what happens. You just have a hand. You're like, all right, I'm in the cutoff with queen jack, got to open. Somebody jammed. It is what it is. There's not much you can do.
Yeah, it's timing such a big part. Here we go. We get a little look into Jinglong's game here. He's taking a aggressive approach here. Just doesn't want to get ripped off of, doesn't want to get taken advantage of, and he's going to get some better hands to fold there.
I like it too, because also he has both covered, right? So he has both players covered. And again, like you said, it's not a hand that he wants to open and get jammed on.
Yeah, he also is going to get some better hands to fold, some stronger aces that would want to play that can't. So really interesting that he's been aggressive, playing well, and also one of the players that if China wins today, they go from 8th to 3rd. That would be, again, some other caveats in there, but for those players that
if you're from China, how does that help you specifically?
Well, you would be in the free roll for the top 10. If your country finished in the top 10 and you played one of the bracelets, any bracelet during this 33 bracelets online, you will be in that free roll for that amount, which your country would be awarded. So that is how it would help you, but you must have played a GG online.
All right, so that's cool to know. So essentially, if you're in China and you played one of these events, you're rooting hard for Jinglong because there's more money available to you. So it's kind of fun where you have like actual financial incentive here to move up that leaderboard and have more of a free roll for those.
In Russia, if they take first today, the player there, you can see friend of GG there in the orange Roman. If he were to win, they would move from second to first. So that is one of the things to sweat today, unless Germany does take second. So again, there's some money given away. There's $1 million free roll amongst the countries, and top 10 will be awarded money. We'll look at that as it gets closer to the finish here, what's at stake. But again, appreciate everyone watching. I see a lot of people from all over the world watching today. So good to have you here. Daniel Negreanu, who has over 53 million, almost 54 million in lifetime earnings, joins us today, was playing these the other day. And I got to ask you about the bracelets as we see a big hand kings here play out here. Daniel, where do you weigh in on the bracelet debate, online or not? You're going to be playing some in maybe in Nevada here that count for bracelets. You were just playing yesterday. How do you should there be an asterisk? How do you calibrate a bracelet online to live?
Well, before I get to that, this is interesting because every one of the players behind, you had queen 10 of spades, jack 9 suited, and fives. Each one of these hands could have 3-bet. James is the one who, has a bigger stack. He elects to be aggressive. He's going to find out the bad news most likely if Christopher jams here. But as far as bracelets go, listen, as long as they're signified a bracelet is a bracelet. There's some bracelets happen in tournaments with very short fields, some big. Ideally, I don't think there's an asterisk required for it, but I do think some bracelets hold more weight. This one, if you win this one, you've earned it. You're playing against the best players in the world in a 10K here on GGMillions. This isn't a cakewalk. This isn't quote unquote easy to win. Much like my win this year in the Poker Players Championship. They're not all created equal in terms of the prestige besides them, but they all count the same in the end.
Yeah, well said. For sure. You could start getting in there some like Pennsylvania or specifics where they have like 40, but you could also say, I mean, look at Helmuth. He's got however many. There's also others that when back in the day there was field sizes that were 20 or 30 or 50 players, right? So it's all kind of, it's yeah, they're different. They're all different and they're all special. So there you go. You heard it from Daniel yourself. I think the same. It is true, and there's of course difference in strength of those, but it is a
And
bracelet.
I would say I would make the argument that I think we should look in the future to just sort of limit the number, right? Because we do have a lot now, right? You have the World Series of Poker series during the summer. You've got this GG series. There's going to be the other online series, and of course WSOP Europe. So probably over 200 bracelets, I would imagine, conservatively. So we have a raised here from the small, and they both flop flush draws. Wow. Obviously, Roman is not going anywhere here with the gut shot as well. Interesting to see how Jovan decides to play this with just 9 high. Probably just a natural call. And now if you're Roman, you check. Okay. So this might be a spot where Jovan elects to either A, take the free card, try to realize the equity, or turn this into maybe a multi-street bluff. Or one stab even. Maybe just takes his turn stab, hoping he's up against like ace 8, ace 9 that has to fold. And that's what he's doing. He's going big too. Going big. Now Roman, what does he do with this big draw? Just call. Now decision time for Jovan. After being check called twice, you have spades. Generally speaking, when you're bluffing, these are not the combos you want to have because you're blocking some of the calling hands that Roman would fold. And he does give up predominantly because this isn't a good bluff candidate. It would have worked though, because there's no way Roman calls here with ace jack, I don't think.
Yeah, it was interesting. Roman called fairly quickly as well, which and a lot of times I think means has showdown value, but he did really snap check there. And I mean, he did have a showdown value, but yeah, that was interesting hand. I think you're right. That was just not the right combination to bluff, and big pot there for Roman. 20 million. A spade though could have been really bad for Jovan, so it could have been worse. So Roman up to 20 mil and very much in contention. Stacks evening out a bit. Still Ponikov's very short, and Sergio a little bit short.
I'd expect a 3-bet here with this ace 9 against cutoff. Again, using stack chip leverage, you can really put a lot of pressure on the number 2, number 3 stacks, which is exactly where we see Daniel at. And, it's very difficult to play against the chip leader who's 3-betting in this spot. And really, this isn't a good hand to flat with, and it's probably a little too good to fold. So I think it plays best as a 3-bet, and that's exactly what he does. And he's going to pick it up.
Yeah, Jovan, we see over $1 million in live earnings, hailing from Serbia, 7th on the all-time money list live there. Also was at the World Series, had several cashes and a big win in May of this year as well at the EA Poker Tour in
this hand. I would expect to see this hand should go Jing Long jam with the King 9. And that the main reason for that is just looking at Ido's stack. You have a hand that more than qualifies. Even if you're called by ace queen, you have plenty of equity, and that's exactly what he does. There's a lot of those spots that come up when you play tournaments when you're in the small blind, where your strategy's already decided. If someone raises, I'm folding. If everyone folds to me, I'm raising. And it really just comes down to simple math. We got some hands here.
Yeah, interesting timing now. Daniel, who just got 3-bet, is going to potentially get the same news, although Jovan may with the 10s flat, definitely possible. It could flat or 3-bet. I think it's going to be close what he decides. 4 minutes on his chess clock.
Yeah, the initial raise came, he's going to just flat again. So you notice twice now against the Daniel Open, he just flatted with ace 10 suited and now pocket 10s. So not looking to 3-bet the middle position, early position raisers, but as we saw with the ace 9-0 against the cutoff, he did 3-bet. The 10s do play pretty well post flop here, and this is a good flop for 10s. Decent flop for Daniel too. He's got middle pair and a backdoor flush draw with that ace. Total whiff for Christopher.
Yeah, could the range though for Christopher getting to come in there for cheap, that range could be a little scary for the 10s, but as played, yeah, just one of the better ones, not to see the overcards come out, and he's in position.
So also with Christopher having 10 million in chips, I mean, listen, you're not all that worried. Even if you get check raised here, you might be up against some sort of combo draw or just a straight draw. I think we might have a check call here with the ace 5 suited. Pretty small bet, 750 into 3 million. I think just, check call. Now that things get interesting here. Now, Jovan shouldn't have a ton of 8x. He can have 2 8s, maybe some ace 8 suited, but so can Daniel. So it's interesting to note on this board, like who actually has range advantage. And I would say Daniel has slightly more threes in his hand and more eights for sure, right? Ace three suiteds. I think Jovan, if he's playing those, he's raising them. He's three betting them. So I don't think Jovan has any 3x. Might have 8-8. But for Daniel, he doesn't really need to bluff either because he does have the 5. Tough decision now for Jovan. Does he just check this back? He likes to go for half pot. All right, this should do it. I can't imagine Daniel is, well, but we'll see when he's betting this size. It's interesting. He's doing it with a hand that's really marginal. Like in a sense, over-repping the strength of his hand, and he does have a pretty strong hand. I guess maybe the intention was there to like turn it into a bluff if he gets called on turn. Maybe just say, all right, well, looks like I'm up against aces or kings. We're going to have to fire a third bullet. Again, that's just possible. I don't know what's going on through Jovan's head. Just theorizing what a player may be thinking there when he bets 10s on a 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. He does get the win on that hand, important hand. Every pot so big here, 44 million for the chip leader, down to 2.2. Now we can say this is in the short zone. He is officially very short. And Christopher going with the aggressive 3-4 suited, not all in there. Or I guess committal, it was all in, but he did take the aggressive line to be first in there. Definitely not every player going to make that. And that's a huge pickup, a million chip difference there. And I guess what the logic, if he gets called, he's got 3-4 suited, plays okay, and he's still covering.
Anytime you get a fold, it's a huge win. And when you don't, you're usually going to have 40+% equity against the calling range.
Well, he did keep.
This is one that you could see rip as well. Because again, nice rip. I like this from Sergio. These are one of those hands too, where, you don't really want to open and have to fold the equity that you have. And look at that, a king 10 suited fold from Ponikoffs. He's really stretching this out. Notice, guys, a lot of you beginners, if you're watching, you king 10 suited, I promise you, most amateurs are like, well, I only have 5 big blinds. I have king 10 suited. They're going to go with it. But the top pros, they really stretch out those 4 or 5 big blind stacks. This is a hand he's certainly going to rip. There's really no other choice. I think it'll get
pretty nice to get 8s folded to right after and actually no one with anything. So he's going to pick up those blinds and antes and be back to a little more of a reasonable stack, 3 million, although it is 400K big blind. Upper left of your screen, you see how often the hands, it's 17 more every 20 hands, the blinds do go up, and you can see what first place is at the moment, what they're playing for. Lower left, top 3 going to get $1 million, and everyone now guaranteed 8th place money. Big payday awaiting many here. This is a lot of buy-ins, 10K buy-in, and we are going to see that 10 million prize pool was over 14 million. Super past. Poker's healthy. Guarantees are hitting. What do you think? What's your guess for the 25K 50 mil? What's your total entries? They're going to cover that or no with the online?
I don't know. Listen, every time I've ever said GGPoker, which sets these lofty goals and these huge guarantees, I always think they're crazy and they're never going to hit. And you know what ends up happening? They just keep doing it. So, maybe I'll be wrong, but I'm going into this one. I think somehow they're going to hit it. I think they're going to hit this guarantee. Again, Jovan not 3-betting the 8s from the big, flopping a set. Unfortunately for him, he's not up against very much other than like the idiot end of a gut shot. So it's going to be difficult for Jovan to make some chips unless he goes into full trap mode and James decides to go off in this position. Now, this is a close one. Do you decide you want to just like check call or do you check raise there? I think check call is good. And now the 10 pairing, he's really hoping he's up against some sort of, king 10, ace 10 type hand.
Yeah, he's got now a boat. He has officially got a check mark on the hand, 3.4 million in the middle. And now does James with this board, his hand, does he just give up?
He might actually bluff this one. There's a 2-tone board. The 10 did pair. He has like pretty close to the bottom of his range, if you will, and he decides to check, but the river card's bad for him. Not that bad. It's a club. The board's paired. You have a 6. You have a straight. But you're not all that excited about it. If you're up against the bet, you're just like, man, I only beat what bluff? What is the bluff now after check call, check? If he bets this river, what exactly would Jovan be bluffing with? 8, 9? That's about it. And that might not even bluff. So it's check. Well, interesting that Jovan didn't go for some value on that river. I thought maybe he would have put out at least a blocker to induce and maybe look to get raised, but instead river goes check. Good check, of course, by James. There's no value in that bet. When you value bet, you have to be able to beat some hands that would call you, right? And in that case, if you just have the 6, like what are you trying to get called by? Maybe a 10, 3 10s? But then you run the risk too of getting check raise bluffed. So high level poker.
Man, this chess clock, I think it might come into play today. We're down to 345, still 8 left. I've seen it twice where there's been 0-0.
I like this raise. I was going to say, I really like this raise here from Jovan. Again, this is chip leverage, right? You have a king deuce off. It doesn't play all that well pre. It's enough. You know, your big blind here with 12 million. You know, if he has his, you know, raggedy hands, he's just going to fold. And that's a win right there with the king deuce off.
Well, Panikov, speaking of winning, he's going to likely go for the play here, although he does have a lot of players behind him, and he is going to do that. Ace 10 suited against this amount of chips with the chip lead. It's definitely a worthy hand to play with. So I think Panikov's
notice Panikov's not going all in here, right? He raised, essentially committing himself. And look at that, Jovan just calling here, not looking to isolate. Now Panikov's might actually get away because he's completely whiffed this board, right? And he does have 2 big blinds. He opened for 6 though. Look at the price he's getting. The question is though, what are you ahead of when you get flatted, you know, from the button? Like you're never ahead here. This actually, this is crazy. This might actually save him, Panikov's taking this rather than just jamming. He may actually check fold. The danger with doing that sometimes is like you're bluffed. Right. But even that's like your best case scenario. He might actually fold this. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
it's so rare you see that where they do this and then fold, but you're right. This has got the properties of possible.
And this is also, you know, we talked about short stacks. He's very short, you know, at the higher levels, when people have 10, 12 big blinds, they're not just open ripping. They're opening for like half. They're always thinking of what we call like an escape route. Like, how can I not go broke here? For Panikov's, if he raised this and it goes all in behind him, well, now he can fold free and then maybe, you know, get a ladder or two. He's like, man, I really have nothing here.
Yeah, he doesn't even have the backdoor hearts. He's literally needs a miracle, and he could be. This is like worst case against the 10 queen.
See, and he does fold. So take the lesson there, right? If you are, you know, watching this and trying to pick up ideas, you know, he only had 5 or 6 big blinds. He opened for like 4 of them, and he kept 2. And so he's still in this tournament, albeit he's not in great shape, but he's, you know, chipping a chair, right? So very interesting to watch Panikov's here with those plays. I think they're, even with the 8s on the button, he just min raised those off of like 6 or 7 bigs. Very interesting to see. You see a lot of like top players, you know, frankly, oddly enough, doing some of the things that Helmuth did for a long time that everyone laughed at, which is playing 10 bigs and like not going broke. And now you see a lot of players are actually adopting that strategy to a certain degree.
Yeah. And there also did allow, look at Jovan takes advantage and shoves queen jack off. And also that is part of the equation. The next hand or two, there could be a pile up, right? There could be a pay jump. That's the reason why. And here we go. He's going to get decent equity to be alive here with 7s against king jack. And he is going to be flipping to be right back to over 2 million. So see if he can do a little magic and stay alive. 2.2 if he were to win. King jack 7, Sergio versus Panikov's 2 titans. Not the flop for king jack. Spade to be interesting. Not going to happen. Needs a king or jack. You can see 6 outs, 1 to come, or we will see our 8th place finisher. Oh, paint. That looks like a jack.
Double
up on the river. A man that, you trust me, everyone at this table wants him gone. Great player, dangerous, and of course the money, right? It's always nice to get a pay jump, but this is a guy who doesn't want to go away.
He goes from 2 to almost 6 big blinds now, right? Again, this is the thing. When you get short, you need to covet these chips. You know, again, that's a probably in the last 5-6 years, sort of a modern theoretical approach to understanding the value of how much 5 and 6 big blind stacks are worth. They're not just you don't just want to torch them because you're short. Look at how Panikov's has really stretched this out. And again, listen, one more double, he's at 4 million. You know, he needs a parlay here, but at least he's in it with a chance to hit that parlay where I think a lot of people would have been broke, specifically with that ace 5 suited. I think most people go broke there.
Look at this. Actually, interestingly enough, he could, if ace 10 suited gets out of the way, which I don't know if it's going to flat 3-bet fold. A lot of different things could happen. But the interesting part is 5s versus ace 5. He's a chance he could get in here versus the chip leader, who he knows is going to open super wide. But now it's a little dicey.
Yeah, you don't want to play this 3-way without fold equity. And I like the call from the ace 10. Of course, Jovan with ace 5 off. Now, that's not a traditional open. It's fine. It's good when you're chip leader. You can really start to open up things and, you know, apply pressure, which is why ace 5 off goes into his opening range. one of the things you think about when you play tournaments is like everyone says, okay, what is my opening range from this spot? It depends. And it always changes based on, the payout structure, it based on your stack size. So Jovan is the one here who can really be the most liberal. And then some of the guys in the middle, they wouldn't have opened that hand. They would have folded for sure. Now these fives he's going to open too. He's going to run into Sergio's jacks, which is just a no-brainer jam, really.
Yeah, and you start getting in the neighborhood of price talking yourself in with fives. I mean, it's a little more than what, 12. So it's not like ideal.
The thing is the range you're facing here is never ace four, ace three. So like your best case scenario is a flip, but often you're just dead, right? Like if you think that eights plus jams here, for example, fives are in real big trouble hoping to see ace king or ace queen or, maybe ace jack suited, something along those lines. Yeah, I think this is a fold from Jovan, actually. I think it's a fold. And I'm not saying that just because Sergio has jacks. I think, again, it's only, like you said, like 12 bigs, but that's substantial,
For sure.
12 bigs at this stage is a significant amount of chips. And this isn't really a spot I'd want to gamble with fives. Again, one of the reasons is because you're never dominating. He never has deuces, threes, fours. He doesn't have ace five, ace four, ace three. He's not jamming those hands in this spot. It's just going to be a hand, guys. It's going to be, like I said, maybe eights plus, ace jack suited, maybe. I don't even think king queen suited he would have done it.
He's calling and he needs some help.
I don't like this call.
Sweat needs a 5 now on the river, 2 outs for about 5%, or else we're gonna put Sergio back over 10 mil. Not a 5, and that is maybe a slight misstep. Very close.
I don't like that one. I was gonna say this is the first one I don't really like. I don't like the call off here. You have the chip lead. One of the things with the chip lead is you want to sort of like maintain that advantage, right? And again, you don't need to just double people up in this situation. And again, you're up against such a massively strong range. I don't think fives does well against 12 bigs there. And I think I would have folded that if I was Jovan.
Yeah, and you can see,
I know.
even there, Ponikov's had a chance to pay jump already with saving a stack and then getting a double up. So that was a at-risk player, was a 4-1 favorite, but Sergio now cooking. Sergio been a guest on the show before, great player. A lot of results, booth magic. He's had a lot of success in his day. He's done a ton, and you said you played with him maybe actually the most. I believe you said the most out of anyone live. So he plays all the high rollers and an absolute force. And now 11.7 million, got plenty of chips to play with.
Yep, he comes and plays at the studio as well here in Las Vegas, and I think him and Adrian Mateos both are one-trick ponies as far as I know. One-trick ponies to play one game, hold them. I'm like, come on, guys, venture out. Come into the mixed game streets.
At least
I'll
PLO.
give you a lesson.
Get in the PLO series. I mean, at the least. Come on. Yeah. What's your favorite game today, Daniel? This second. What's your most favorite game?
I really enjoy playing PLO tournaments, which is great because I've got a series coming up in a little bit. Ponikov's is likely to get action from Sergio in the big blind. Notice again, look at this, guys. You think like, what's the point of this? Well, what is the point of this? Well, what's the point? Why not do it? Keep those chips behind. Who knows? Save them for a rainy day.
Yeah, all in. You fold. Here we go. Jack's A7 and 86% to be. Sergio. He put it in so fast, like he knew. He's got 4 million potentially coming his way if he can fade. Not a jack. That is going to be GG. Golfer claps. Little D-Negs, little Elky golfer claps out there right now. There's another one. We got a good game, 4 million. And Sergio up to 13, almost 14 million now as Alex Ponikovs goes out in 8th place. So 7 left. And again, didn't get the pay jump, but we get to see a short stack. I want to say master class, but short class, some moves. Got to see some maneuvers off a short stack from a world-class player here.
It's better than a 2-1 favorite to just have 10 big blinds again, 10, 11 big blinds, which is again, a playable stack. The average stacks when you get to the final table often dip below 20. So it's there's still maneuvering going on with stacks as little as 6 and 7 big blinds.
Absolutely. 5,700 watching. Welcome in. Please hit that thumbs up. We'll be giving giveaways in the stream. Also have a tweet for you guys. I'll send the link in the chat, and we appreciate it. We're playing to a winner today. No deal making, Daniel. What do you think of that? Are you on board for no deal making, or do you like?
I don't make deals at all. So yeah, I mean, I'm all in for no deal making.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is part of the GGMillion. They just keep it clean, keep it natural, let it play out. I do think it is nice. You don't have to think about it. And here we go. We got Roman going with an ace-9 suited and big blind playable hands. Likely going to go heads up here. Don't see a 3-bet coming. So this is a Big holding ace-9 in position. Roman, guy, friend of the stream, got him in the highlighted name there, part of the Team GG. He is in the mix with the best hand in the best position. Going to come out and quickly bet third pot.
Yeah, I mean, again, range advantage under the gun. The thing about these little paired boards, though, that play tricky is the big blind defends wider. So the big blind's actually more likely to have a 5 than the under the gun raiser. Having said that, the under the gun raiser is going to have more over pairs. So yeah, they can be tricky spots. And it's really like a battle. I actually did a video about this recently and said it was called like, is check raising back? And talking about how on these paired boards, the big blind, has the opportunity to really fight for those flops. Like on 5-5 deuce. You could like check raise, bomb, then it's like guessing games. Like, does he have it or not? Right. So you see like a lot of the more aggressive players, it becomes a little more scary, I think, to bet those flops as your bluffs because they are more apt to like, come back at you.
Tell me about the sizing here. We see a mix when you're covering and you're short and it's short or small blind, big blind. What do you like to go there?
Big.
3.5, 4x. What are the nuances?
That was rather big, I think. With the stack sizes as they are. Although, what are we looking at? That's like 40 blinds. Yeah, I guess it's fine. I mean, I think 4 is probably a little too much for me at 40. I think I'm probably coming in for maybe 3.5, 3. Yeah. And as the stacks dip, you'll see some guys raise from the small to even like 2.7, 2.8. But again, generally speaking, if you are going to raise from the small blind against the big blind, the size needs to go up versus your normal opens, which are going to be min raises, as you can see everyone at this table doing.
Ace-9, 8-5 suited. Going to be a quick fold from Roman. Doesn't get much going there. And a pickup for Christopher. As I mentioned before, there is the difference between the residence and nationality and what at stake today. If Russia takes first, they would move up from second to first. That is, unless Germany does come in second. And then the biggest potential, which is already gone, was Latvia. They would need to get on the board from 16th to 8th if they were to win, if Panikov would win, but he is out. So that is done. And
well,
Germany's
as I said, you could raise has got to be bigger. We see a min raise now from Roman against the chip leader. That's interesting. I haven't really seen many people doing that. And I wonder what the theory is behind, min raising it where the Jovan's just going to be defending a lot. Maybe it was inducing. I don't know, but I don't think you really want to induce, when you've got 40 big blinds with ace jack.
Wow. He's coming in. He's got the jack, blocks jack 10, and he's coming in firing half pot here. Pretty big bet into the chip leader. Now what? 8 million in the middle.
Yeah, I think 14. He probably gives up, hoping to have some showdown value, which beating some flush draws or some like straight draws that missed. But I think now the question really is, does Jovan go for value? It's thin, right? Because what are you targeting when you bet here? He doesn't. See? Good. Very good. When you're going to make a value bet, you need to think about what calls you. As played, what's Roman going to have where he raised, bet, and then checks a deuce river that you think he's actually going to call you with?
Right.
That's worse than a queen. Not a lot of hands would play that way that are going to actually check call that river with worse.
Yep. Slow down. Ace queen now. Sergio going for a under the gun min raise. 20, just over 25 blinds. 26, 27. He's got a opponent with the same hand. Ace queen to ace queen out of position. This one with top pair, top kicker. Both players like their hand.
Well, yeah, both players have the exact same hand. It'll be interesting to see, like, is there any way one of these players actually wins this pot? I don't think so. On a queen deuce 3 rainbow, it feels as though, however it goes down, both players are going to see this river, unless somehow a king comes specifically and one of them decides YOLO, I'm going for it. But again, very unlikely. This is like 99.5% to be a chop pot. Yeah, it certainly is played. It was raised pre-called, bet on flop call. Now, really, for Sergio, this is interesting. Is he going to go for the check here and, protect his checking range, or does he go for value with, 2 to 3 streets? I don't mind both. I think check is good here sometimes too.
Yeah.
No Daniel, you just have like, well, he does have that ace of diamonds. I wonder how that plays a role. Like, if a diamond hits the river, does that open up him turning this into, a bluff? Again, but the thing is when you're turning a hand into a bluff, you turn hands into a bluff that can't really win a showdown. Ace queen's good most of the time here. Like, and there you go. Okay, ace on the river. Do we have Sergio jamming here? Or do we have a blocker bet? I don't think he checks this ace. I think this is going to be a blocker bet. like of maybe, 2 to 2.5 million, or just jam it all in there. And when you're jamming it all in, what are you hoping that you're up against, right? What does your opponent ace have? What ace does your opponent have? Not a lot of them. He goes for the small, like I said, 2.5. He's targeting the queen. He wants to get called by king, queen, queen, jack. As played, Daniel's not going to have ace X very much. What ace? Ace 4, ace 5? Those don't really flat on pre-flop, so he doesn't have anything there. Doesn't have pocket threes, doesn't have deuces. You're just simply targeting king, queen, queen, jack. Now for Daniel, he's looking at this and saying, oh, baby, I got to raise, right? Yeah, for sure. Snap call. And as I said, it's going to be a chop.
Yep.
Yeah, a little disappointing for Sergio. For both of them, I think they're disappointed. They saw that river and they thought, oh, baby, gin.
Yeah, it looked like there was pretty strong. That board for ace queen, both players loved their hand, and as you mentioned, really no deuces or threes. No player is opening or flatting with that in that spot. So yeah, pretty strong, high up in the range. Chop pot. Here we go, Jacks. Daniel getting right back to work. Not much going, not much. He does go more than a min raise. Some players are min raising, some are 2.2ing. And what do you decide what's your basic rule if you're going to min raise or go a little bigger?
Yeah, I think also, it depends on your stack size, and sometimes, the effective stack size in the blinds, when they're very small, min raise is fine. As people get deeper, like 30 big blinds plus, you can start to add a little tax, if you will, and open a little bigger, as we see Daniel opening. But again, not a lot bigger. What is that? 2.3, right? It's it forces the big blinds to actually fold a few more hands. So if you want fold equity, you don't really. I used to do this, frankly, like 20 years ago. I developed a strategy where my raise sizes were based on who was in the big blind. Okay. I didn't want to play with Ted Forrest because he's really good. So on his big blind, I was coming in 3.5, 4x. And then others, I'm like pretty close to min raise. I'm like, yeah, you go ahead. I want to play a flop with you. It wouldn't be based on my hand strength. It would be based on my opponent. So a lot of different theories, how you approach that. Queen Jack suited. This could rip for 2022. I'm pretty sure a solver rips here with Queen Jack suited, and he's going to pick it up. Often, if you do any work with solvers or stuff, you'll find that a lot of these suited Broadway cards off 20 big blinds, it wants you to just put it all in. Because again, they play pretty well. You pick up folds a lot, and when you don't, you usually have a decent amount of equity. So Jovan, early position, ace-8 off. Again, this is a function of him being chip leader. He can do that. We got the defend from Jack-4 suited. Now he's flopped. This could be interesting here. You got the flush draw with Jack high versus Jovan, who did hit an ace. He also has a club blocker with the 8. So if a club does come on the turn, it makes it less likely your opponent has a flush, which could bode well for Daniel if one does come. I think here you just check call, against the early position raiser. You don't really typically want to check raise this board with this hand, because then you're going to shut yourself off the equity some of the time. Now he's picked up the 4 as well. So he's got this is a spot where he now could turn it into a bluff. So what would he be bluffing? What would he be pretending that he has? Pocket 5s, ace-9, ace-4, deuce 3 of clubs, maybe.
4-5 suited.
Yeah, some 4-5 suited hands. But again, I think Jovan comes here for about half pot, would be my guess. Right around the 2 million mark. Could check back too. Although I don't think in this spot
it's really close for sure. Goes
a little bigger.
Puts a tax on it. 3 million.
Again, now with having the Jack and the 4 as outs, this makes it a much more difficult fold. If it's just the flush draw, if that turn card was like the whatever club, now he's just got an easy check fold. But now with the pair, he's got a couple options. He could still fold it. He could call as he does. Now he's going to double, or maybe not. I think this is going to go check. Typically, one of the problems with having flush draws out of position is when they come, you don't really have a lot of leads. You're not really betting it out very much. You're checking and hoping to get your opponent to value bet worse. See, as you see, he's checked. Now, Jovan has the 8 of clubs, but again, he's got an 8 kicker, right? So he's thinking, all right, my opponent called the flop. My opponent called the turn for big size. What in the world is he going to call me with that I beat? A 9? You're literally just targeting a 9, and that's too thin. Too often, you're going to do what's called value cut yourself, which means you're value betting, but really you're betting into a range that when it calls you is a losing money. You're going to lose money on it. He's just going to have better than that. It's almost like if you're betting there, you're thinking about turning it into a bluff, which is silly as well.
Yep. Yeah. Well said. That's also hard to get value. Jack 4 suited, very happy with that pot. However, big swing there to be in second place with, well, I guess tied essentially for second with James. James in a pot right now with 9-10 high.
Interesting.
Queen
We
10
got a check call.
makes
Roman's
the call there.
looking him up. Now the question is, I think with this hand, James should probably fire another bullet. You're discounting a decent amount of Roman's ace X hands. You know, he could have a six. You're going to put a lot of pressure on something like queen 6, king 6. And you do have outs, right? You have the 9-10. So you could hit an 8 for straight. Potentially a 9 or a 10 is an out against those hands. And he elects to go the safer route and check, which is going to cost him. Because I think now you're going to see the small value bet. And then, I mean, likely James calls. Because now for this size, he beats missed flush draws. He beats a 6. And he's going to pick. Oh, actually, never mind. It's a chop, right? Oh, no, it isn't. Aces and 10s with a queen. Duh. Yes, yeah. I've played poker before.
the one thing about continuation in that turn is that if he does get called by like king high or queen high flush draws, he has to then fire the river pretty much too, right? I think that maybe just decided.
Certainly, yeah. But again, I think, you know, you do have range advantage being the razor, even if it is from the button. That I think with the 9-10 off and no club in my hand, I probably would have fired. If you fire a size that folds out flush draws, let's say you fire like 2/3 pot on that board, flush draws don't continue anyways. So it's not really a concern. You don't have to fire a third bullet because the hand will end on the turn.
Yep.
We're going to have Jovan defending, and if James bets, this will be a check call. He likes to take the free card.
Jack 8 still lead 2.7 in the middle. This is another pot.
I don't see a bet
bigger
here.
stacks.
I think Jovan's always checking this. I don't think there's a lot of reason to bet. He's just going to check. And I imagine James is going to take the free card. This isn't a great board for him against the chip leader to just bet with a pure gut shot. I think he checks and takes the equity. Now, if you're Jovan, you're like, I'm pretty much almost always have the best hand here. How much to bet? And some of these spots, you're seeing people go like 10, 20% pot. And we see about 1/3. Is that right? Yeah. A little less than that, quarter. Now the king queen has really no future, as Ren Lin would say. No future. Good fold.
Yeah.
So good poker being played. You know, every hand I'm watching, I'm seeing some interesting play, and you know, these guys know what they're doing. No question about it.
Yes, they do. We've lost 2 players, 7 remain. We will see you back after a short break.
In case you haven't noticed, we're into breaking records at the World Series of Poker. Bigger and better is just how we roll. We did it this summer, as you saw, with the main event. Speaking of the main event, the WSOP just had a super idea for this year's WSOP Paradise in the Bahamas. For the first time ever, WSOP will host the super main event, a $25,000 buy-in with the biggest guarantee in the history of poker. Wait, is that number right? 50 million? What? 50 million? You guys are nuts, for real. Huge prize pools, massive water slides, fun for the whole family, and the chance to hunt bracelets with the beautiful backdrop of the Bahamas beaches just a few sandy footsteps away from the poker room. 15 bracelets will be on the line with buy-ins ranging from $2,500 up to $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, a $1 million buy-in. The WSOP has partnered with the Triton Millions to bring the largest poker tournament in WSOP history back home. So what are you waiting for? Come make history with us again at WSOP Paradise.
All right, welcome back into the action. 7 left, massive pay jumps here, and we see some big pairs first hand back. Jacks, queens, and eights, all relevant hands to play 7-handed poker. Queens, though, first act, probably eight's going to be able to get out of the way. Don't think he'll be flat in this.
Well, I think, Daniel, he actually could flat these queens sometimes with the intention of getting some short stacks to rip behind, but there aren't anybody that short. So instead, he's going to come for what we're seeing more and more these days, which is very, very small 3-bets. Notice that's less than 5 big blinds. It's like 4.5. So you have an open to 2 and 3-bet to 4.5. Polarizing. If I'm Christopher right here, you're obviously nervous with jacks, right? Because, if you're up against a strong range, you're hoping to be flipping, if you will. But the question is here, does he just 4-bet it, or does he decide to take a flop? They might be deep enough where he just decides to take a flop.
You said that exactly. That is something I've noticed. It just like happened overnight one point where it just seems like these 3-bets are so small.
Well, it actually, I will tell you where it came from, because I sort of it's the Brazilians. The Brazilians came with this strategy where they were 3-betting to, 4.5 and stuff. So notice he does just take the flat. This is an ICM consideration. This is an assumption that the ranges are very strong. Now he's got a great flop with jacks. He's got the overpair. So even if he is against aces, kings, or queens, which he is, he's going to have 6 outs now against those hands. And again, often he's going to have the best hand. Part of the range that 3-bets is going to be the ace-king type hands. Notice earlier, Daniel, he had ace-queen against Sergio. He didn't 3-bet the ace-queen. So you might think, well, that's an even stronger range than normal, potentially. You're going to see a half-pot bet. And against this, I think the jacks are supposed to just put it in. I really do. I'm not sure that he will. Still a little bit concerned. This size is interesting. I'm not sure. I guess with queens, you just really want to end the hand here. It's a very draw-heavy board.
If he can fade king of clubs on the turn and see the river going to need to hit the 6 outs it is on the river. Let's see. It doesn't look much changing there. That is going to be a hold for Daniel, who hammer locks a massive pot. He has 36 million now. We are down to 6-handed just like that. We are officially down to 6, Daniel. That was a big pot, 37 million. He has got second place stack in the jacks. Really no way out. I think.
Yeah, these are just cooler situations where there's a lot of these spots where one guy's going to have jacks, the other one's going to have queens. It doesn't matter which one has which. One of them's going broke. A lot of hands, setups, coolers. There's certain spots where it doesn't matter how great you are at the game or whatever. You're faded, you're sealed, if you will. As a good player and a professional, what you want to do is put yourself in position as often as possible to be on the right side of those coolers. And when you get them, to capitalize. So we'll see now, Daniel really closed the gap on Jovan. So 2 guys way out in front, and now maybe some ICM considerations for the rest. We're seeing just a rip from Sergio, which I like. Jovan opening the king 4 off. Again, if he was shorter on chips, he may fold that, but as a chip leader, he's going to open the button pretty liberal.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely right. Well, 6 left, ace king there for Roman. Not much else going. Daniel, though, with ace 5 with that stack, could consider opening. He's going to pass, and ace king, not much else to play for in this pot. We've got ourselves, again, Jinlong Hu, who is from China, has a chance to get his leaderboard, the free roll, up higher. If China takes first today, they would go from 8th to 3rd, but that is what is at stake. A couple of players already exited that have impact on that, the free roll for the countries, and we are seeing people are asking if Daniel's back home in Vegas. Yeah, he was streaming yesterday, and then he did fly right back. I think you were debating that yesterday. That's what I saw when I tuned in.
Apologies to those who see my funky chair in the background, but this is a very heavy chair. It was hard to move, and it's also very comfortable, and I think it looks cool, right? So isn't that all that matters?
It does kind of look like a throne, it looks like a special chair. It looks
very throne-like.
Yeah, he got 73rd. I think that's right. He was there, got it going, got short, got it going, and then.
Well, I folded for 2 hours. My VPIP, the voluntarily put in pot that they show up on the screen on that. I was 11%. That means I folded 89% of the hands dealt to me. That means I didn't have a lot of good ones.
That happens. It's not a fun one to go dead in such a big tournament here. 1.9 to first. You can see top 3 over $1 million. Going to play to a winner. No deal making. Daniel Negreanu does have over about 54 million lifetime earnings, 7 bracelets. Got that one off your back this summer. I know that was special. You said that was powerful. That was the one you wanted out of all the ones to win. One of the ones you want. That's got to be a good feeling. And the WSOP Bahamas, more to come. There's more opportunities there. You're going for the entire time?
Yeah, I'm going to go. And my plan as of now is to play all the high rollers. I'll likely post some. There's some huge buy-ins. You know, there's that invitation with a $500,000 buy-in. I think there's a rebuy too. My goodness.
Yep.
So you could be in for $1 million. For that one, I love the idea. It's a invitational. So businessmen must invite you. So if you are a pro, you don't just get to play. And then what will happen on day one is the businessmen play amongst themselves, pros play against themselves, and then they converge. So it's a really cool format. But yeah, it'll be big money. I'll probably put some action up on Poker Stake. I'm not sure if maybe even in the client, but I think pokerstake.com is accessible to pretty much everyone across the world. Again, we're having this min raise play from Roman. This is really something I have not seen. You know, I didn't see this all week. We showed the ace. Okay. So interesting. He's actually, and I noticed the defend from 3-5 off. Some of you might be like, wow, that's not too loose. Look at the price he's getting. You know, he's getting almost 4-1 in position with 2 cards. That's pretty good. You know, and again, you have the chip leverage and all that sort of thing. So that's why he's calling with a bad hand like 3-5. But again, an interesting play here from Roman to just be min raising the small. Don't see that very often.
Yeah, Daniel Peterson looking to get involved. Not going to do that with that hand, but he knows he's got a powerful stack. He also has the chip leader out of position there. So he's going to go very wide, but not quite that wide. We'll see again some playable hands here. Queen Jack suited, ace-7 off, and this is always interesting to see the chip leaders, or one of the chip leaders, how wide they go. Do they take some lower suited holdings, or do they kind of respect bigger cards in these spots? As we see the chess clock, 4 minutes and 2 minutes, the 2 shortest. Everyone else pretty healthy here. And now we got blind on blind. And I mean, I guess definitely playing. See how
this could go a couple ways. I mean, Jing Long could limp this with the intention of potentially limp jamming, because it is a pretty strong hand.
I think he's going to, yeah.
And if he does, Sergio might make it 3x, or he actually could rip, because again, Jin Long, he's playing effective stack, which is Jin Long's, not his own. So for 8.5, does he just aces rates to be good? You know, it's ace-7. Unless he's like trapping with very few hands, you're in bad shape. And there's already 1.3 million in there. Oh, he decides to check back the ace. Wow. Well, this could cost him, or this could get him into some trouble one way or the other. Jin Long flops a flush draw. I think this is a good spot to bet, actually, with the Queen Jack of Hearts. I like the lead for min. Sergio might check this back now. He does. Okay, so this hand played very differently than I was hoping or expecting. Yeah. Expecting fireworks. You know, both players, I think, somewhat probably factoring in ICM. But I'm surprised Sergio didn't raise that ace after a limp. And as it turns out, Jin Long's going to have the jack. Now the question is, do you bet minimum, or do you check and hope that your opponent, you know, has total air and decides to try to bluff at it? At this point, it might be better off checking and hoping to just pick off, you know, a bluff from some bad hands.
Yeah, that was, pre-flop, I saw that going differently a variety of ways. So that did end up turning out where no money really got put in. Sergio loses a small pot, had the better hand, and a Jin Long is up to almost exactly 20 big blinds. Got just under 10 million there.
Yeah. So
no one's short. This is real poker here. 20 blind poker at least. Yeah. We're seeing, and we're going to see again, big money at stake. The pay jumps are huge. This is the meat of the tournament we're getting to watch right now.
Another thing that I love about these finals is, notice normally we play with a clock where the blinds go up in a certain time. If you look in the top left-hand corner, it says they go up in 3 hands. So one of the benefits of that too is you can't sort of stall and try to force somebody to pay the big blind or anything like that. It's a set number of hands. The clock works based on, everyone has their own clock, and it works flawlessly. I think GG's really innovated better than anywhere in the world with this idea and this concept. It's really solved essentially a lot of problems. It forces time to be a commodity. So if you waste it, you're wasting your time, not mine. And it's going to cost you when you need it. You see now, Jovan, he's the chip leader, but he's only got 2 minutes on that clock. So if he's in the grinder, and if he's in a tough spot, you know, tick tock, clock drop, you out, you know, you fold.
Yeah, it is. No, I think it's great. I think it does make people just play quicker in general, saves time, and great to see the clocks.
It eliminates the value of stalling in any situation.
Who came up with the big blind Annie? Who actually gets credit for that?
The first person that came up with big blind Annie, and that's a live poker thing. You don't need to do that online because it's much easier for everyone to put their chips in. It was Kerry Katz actually at the Poker Go studio who said, you know, why don't we just have one guy Annie for the whole table, right? And he sort of created that. And for live play, it makes sense. Again, as I said, when you play online, most of these players, I would imagine, we're seeing the actual chip stacks, 43 million, 16. Most of these guys are using the software to convert to big blinds. When I play, I only play in big blinds. So, you know, if I was Jin Long right now, it would, instead of saying 9.7, it would say like 24.2 or something like that. And it stays static the whole way through. And sometimes when people watch the stream, they're like, Daniel, what happened? You lost so many big blinds. It's like, well, the blinds went up, and have to explain that over and over.
Yeah. That's interesting that Kerry gets credit for that. I knew Poker Go. I didn't know that he actually was the one that thought of that, because that's a pretty big, I'd say that's one of the more innovating things in poker in the last decade.
Some people, really purists were resistant to it because they don't like the idea of being forced to put so many chips in on the big blind. But it's just, all it is just like, you have to make a few strategy adjustments. It is what it is. Anytime you make changes to the game, you got to think about some subtle strategy adjustments.
Yep.
And that's one of the things we did see as a result of the big blind ante, though, is, like say someone has a 500K stack and they bet the river, they bet 495. They save that one chip. Why did they do that? They do that because now that one chip, if they win the next pot, they win a big blind that's dead, big blind, and 2.5 big blinds. So the chip has way more value in your stack when you, say, for example, are bluffing it off. So we've definitely seen that, become more common, especially in the live arena.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Ace 3, King 10, 2 decent hands represent
two big chip leaders, right? Notice like pretty strong big blind hand with King 10 suited, just taking a flop. Jovan's actually been playing a little bit small ballish. The 3-bet that he had was like Ace 9-0, but a lot of his strong hands like Ace 10 suited, 10s and stuff like that, he's just been flatting, seeing flops. If I'm Daniel here, I'm happy to just check this one down, win it with the 3s if they're good. You could go ahead and try to deny equity. But again, what are you really representing? If you bet this 3 on the turn and you get check raised, what now? Woo, that's a tough problem you don't want to have to deal with. So you play a small pot. Again, these are the 2 big chip stacks. So they're incentivized to play more careful against each other. Sometimes one of those 2 decides, nah, man, I'm the bull. I'm going to be the lion that eats all the prey. And the other one has to decide, am I willing to die with him, or am I going to just let him take the reins? It seems like so far, these 2 are respecting each other's territory, if you will, not stepping out of line. Nobody's really stepped out of line, as you can see. I don't think there's anyone at this table that's just been playing crazy or, wild. You see Daniel now opening the 9-10 off. That's a little loosey-goosey, 6-handed. But again, it's a function of the chip stack. He's worried about Jovan, right? But Jovan's in the small. Again, just flatting. He 3-bet the Ace 9-0. That doesn't play as well post-flop. He's taking a flop here with the Ace 7. Jin Long, with his stack, this could be a squeeze opportunity. Jam it with the 4s, hope to pick up what's likely not a calling hand from Jovan, a wide range from Daniel. Does he have oh, never mind. Wow. Let's just flop a set against top
First
pair.
Top pair nonetheless. That is hard to do, to flop middle set versus top pair. Although 9-10, not loving his kicker, multi-way pot. Not going to go crazy here, but still really nice position for Jin Long.
Yeah. So the standard thing here is a small bet. You get Jovan out. Now for Jin Long, does he check call or check raise? I think with his stack size, either option is good. When you check raise, though, like, are you really bluffing much here? So I like the check call overall. You might see another bet from Daniel with top pair. I think he wants to defend against a lot of the gut shots and flush draws that Jin Long can check call flop with. Rates to have the best hand with a 10 a good percentage of the time.
Yeah, the SPR is pretty low. It's basically 1 stack to pot ratio for Jin Long. So he could maybe make a bit of an aggressive maneuver, and there it is. He's going to put it in,
get snapped and
0%. Wow, nice hand from Jin Long. Great discipline to just call there on the flop. As you said, I thought both ways could have make sense. He could do both. He did the latter, and he loves it. He's got 20 mil. This is extremely even. Look at these stacks, wide open for who's going to take this down today. We really have a lot of players with similar stacks right now.
And one of the interesting things, again, about tournament poker is, there's value in winning first place, but there's also value in folding and someone else going broke. You actually make money by doing that. And that's part of why you see much more careful play. You'll see Sergio right now, pick his spots a lot more carefully, which allows some of the other players to play more aggressive. Jovan now, after that pot, back in a commanding lead. And you're going to see Jin Long correctly put pressure on Sergio right now. Sergio has a hand that kind of likes to see a flop, for 3x. I like it. Oof, wow. Geez. So another one. We got cooler craziness. This is a flush draw.
After the break, seen some action.
Sergio being in last place now, he's the one that is under the gun for trying to, he can't wait anybody else out. So him playing aggressively makes some more sense. If Jinlong bets his flop, which I expect, Sergio can play it two ways. He can flat, but he can also raise, get it in here with the flush draw. You know, he also thinks here a lot of the time he's going to have his 8 and 5 live as well. He's also got, you know, a backdoor 3 straight.
Little less attractive. No over to the 9. If it was like the 10-5 of diamonds, does matter a bit. So he is just going to call. Does pair his 5 now. So he's got a pair that he thinks could be good for sure.
Yeah.
Wide ranges, a lot of money.
There's no getting away now for Sergio again, because now he's got the flush draw, right? Which is live. He can't be drawing dead. It's either the 5 is good. So let's say Jinlong is jamming a flush draw. Well, that means your 5s are good. If he's not, he's got you beat. Well, you've always got outs. Really tough spot. He put the pedal to the metal. I like this play from Jinlong. Sergio's really going to have a difficult decision. I think ultimately he's got to make this call because, you know, you like Jinlong, he can have some bluffs here, right? I mean, I don't know the player very well, but if you're thinking from a theory perspective, there's plenty of bluffs. You know, King 6, Queen 6, you know, Jack Deuce of diamonds, a whole bunch of stuff.
I mean, look, he's got 19 blinds if he folds, and he is going to have a lot of chips if he calls and wins. So this is tough. I don't know. I think Sergio, looking at this table, looking at the players, I think that I would actually bet he folds, just thinking that he's got enough maneuverability with this lineup that he's going to like to take his chances a little in a different spot. But I wouldn't be shocked either. You're right.
I think this is too much hand to fold. I mean, obviously, if he didn't have the flush draw or he didn't have the pair, let's say, for example, the turn was like a random 10. Well, you know, you have an easy fold because you have 8 high and a flush draw.
Yeah.
But now, as I said, you're never drawing dead. You're either in front and your opponent's drawing. It might be drawing very slim, actually. Or, you know, okay, so you're behind, but you potentially have 2 5s, 3 8s, and 9 diamonds. That's a lot of outs. Right. And now, you're getting a good price. You're getting 2 to 1 on your money.
Yeah, if you can take away, if you can deduct that the 5 and the 8 are good, if you can say, okay, he doesn't have ace deuce, he doesn't have 6 deuce, he doesn't have 6 7 and play it this way, which probably doesn't. So you take
why would
those
6
out.
7 jam here? 6 7 doesn't really want you out that bad.
Right.
So I think more often than not, if you are beat, you're beat against a 1 pair hand that has the 5 beat. Wow, he folded it. Okay, so this is like, I wonder when people do more math on this ICM stuff, whether that's going to be considered correct or not. Because the way ICM works, I don't think anybody's got it figured out. Because if Sergio doubles there, now he can be a beast. So how well does that bode for him to now maybe finish in one of the top 3 spots? Folding, well, as you can see, he's the short stack now, right? I think if I was in Sergio's shoes, I would have taken that gamble with the 5 8.
So it's interesting. That would be one we could talk. Let's talk. Put 1 in the chat if you like the fold. 2 if you would have gone for it. I think it's really close. 1 for fold, 2 for gamble. Very close spot. One that's interesting to note. That is one that I would like to look up and chat about myself. So that is, and also let's see how it works out. You know, Sergio could waste the title, or he could just be out in 6th, and then, you know, it's of course a little different. We got a lot of opinions. Love to see it. Let us know where you're watching from. Got the giveaways, going to queue them up here once we get to 4-handed. Got the tweet out, my Twitter, Daniel's Twitter. We got giveaways today. Someone's winning 1.9 million in a bracelet though. This is and he's up to 13 mil. Pick that pot up. King 10 suited. He's back working, back in the mix, but very close. A pretty mixed bag, I'd say. Poll question there, Daniel, in the chat. I don't know if you have it up, but a lot of 1s and 2s. A lot of mixed bag review.
Yeah. Well, again, it depends really, like what's your approach. I think if your approach is you want to win the tournament, like if, let's say, for example, you don't care about the money, then you go for it. You know, it's a good chance to have like, you know, a really hefty stack. But again, I like the gamble because, as I said, you're never drawing dead. And a lot of the time you have the best hand and you're getting 2 to 1 odds. I think based on the price. Yeah, sure. You're not getting the right price against a better hand, but he doesn't always have a better hand.
Yeah, great point. Great point. Great. Sergio, we'll ask him. We have to ask him ourselves. We'll get on and chat with him at some point. I think also too,
because he was in last, right? So typically speaking, when you are last, you're the first one that has to go for it.
Right. Your risk premium is the lowest. You're right.
If you're like if you're, for example, you're 3rd in chips and the guy in 2nd jams on you, like, okay, maybe you fold there because, you know, that's too big of a risk. But when you're last, it means you're supposed to gamble more in these spots, I would think.
That's why poker's beautiful. You would say Sergio's one of the top talents yourself, of course, but you guys have a difference in opinion. And
Well, that's the great thing about these spots, and I think we all learn together. It's such a complex spot. It's not as simple as derp. Let's see what the solver says. The solver gods. It's not that simple because this decision is based on a lot of ICM implications that really nobody in the world has computed correctly. So a lot of it's going to be opinion based, right? In terms of like what was the best play there, and you know,
I do think there's a lot of
game is
factoring about the position at the table with the players. I think thinking, you know, if he's in there with Panakovs and Mateos and guys like too, I think there's some discrepancy and some decision about this.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to be thinking about.
Yeah.
And what you're referring to is really like future game, right?
Yep.
So future game is impossible to quantify. What does it depend on? All right, who are my opponents? How good are they? Am I better than them? How much are these chips actually worth in terms of ICM value if I have the chip lead? Very difficult computations. So either way you go with that 5-8 of diamonds that he did, either one is no slam dunk obvious choice. Like fold isn't easy, call isn't easy, right? So and again, you know, in poker you're going to find yourself in a lot of spots sometimes where it's what we call indifferent. It doesn't matter all that much what you do, and I think that was pretty close to being one.
For sure. Here's a fair fight. Ace Jack to sevens, two decent hands, modest, strong holdings, six-handed. Little stronger than normal, but sevens do have the better situation and position with the best hand at the moment. No player with the spade. There's a question in the chat about how are the amount of hands per level determined? What goes in that calculation to make it about equal to a standard time level? I don't know where they came up with 20, but I guess just they have to pick a number, and that seems like a reasonable amount of time.
I think what they did is they took data. I think what you do is you take data and you look at roughly how many hands are played and say, for example, a tournament with 15-minute blinds. And then you sort of extract that, you create the number of hands, and now time is no longer an issue. Time is a commodity, as I said. This is really innovative from GG. I wish we could implement this in every live poker tournament in the world. I think it'd be, you know, amazing. I think it'd be interesting and awesome to do it from the get-go. Now, for those that don't know how it works, how fast you play up to the final table dictates how much time you will have. So if you were, you know, one of those people who played quickly and you saved time, you'll have more time at this final table. If you burned a lot of time, well, you might not have enough when, you know, you're in the blender, if you will. See, Sergio, he did a good job with time management. That was a tough choice. You know, I get why he would need a minute or two to make that decision. Queens and threes here, but he's in a spot where his opponent just completely whiffed.
Yeah, the missionary, top and bottom. Nice to hit two pair, blind on blind. This is going to be a winning hand, almost certainly for Daniel.
That's the missionary?
Yeah, what? Top and bottom. Never heard that in all your years?
Oh my God, that's a new one for me. The mission. I get it though. Daniel, I do understand where you're going with that.
Okay. I'm shocked. I would have lost a lot. That one I would think you have in your arsenal. Just remember where you heard it. I give you credit.
Oh, yeah. JG taught me the missionary. I've been playing 30 years and never heard that one.
I would not have thought that, but there you go. Hey,
that one used to be called the San Francisco Waiter, but anyway.
Well, that also applies for that hand because it happened to be
the San Francisco Waiter. The San Francisco Waiter in missionary. That's what we had there.
That was there's a double name for that situation. Ace, queen, queen, six. This is I always use this. Actually, speaking of that, I reference you on this all the time. The 2.7 hand. I heard you say that about 15 years ago or so in an interview.
Queen.
Ace queen off. You said you lost 2.7 million.
And you lost the tournament.
You don't listen to yourself. You could just fold yesterday.
I did. In the last one, I did fold the ace queen. Yeah.
That hand is expensive. That's a tough hand to play. Ace queen, I will say.
Yeah.
King jack suited button. Nice spot. And we got another. We saw three bet.
Notice he's coming bigger. He's coming for 2.5 now. And he just got called this time by the ace nine. All right, this could be fireworks here. You'd expect just simply a check call here. Daniel may actually just elect to take a free card here, but he's just going to bet this flop a high frequency from the button. And for Jovan, I don't think he's going to have much check raising here. He really shouldn't. He really shouldn't be check raising here very often at all. Not on
another, you know what? It's another situation with the same function. And now a little more interesting board. King comes in pairs, although now he's got some showdown value and a lot of money getting in the middle at the moment. So let's see if he's going to check back now. Both players with under 3 minutes on the chess clock as well.
Yeah, he's definitely checking this back. There's there's not a lot of that. There's not a lot of reason to bet here. And the 9 on the river, that's going to give him a full house. But again, if you have a king jack here, like what do you beat now? You don't beat 10 jack. That's a straight. You beat a queen. Is a queen even going to bet here? You also tie some king 10, king jack hands. But I mean, if I had a king and I'm facing a bet here, I try to think, well, what do I beat? I beat 8-10 suited. You beat Jack 8 suited. Those are the, or Jack 8 or 10-8 are the bluffs here, which makes sense for Joven. So I guess he can value bet, and he does go for small. And the question is, would he do this with Jack 8 or 10-8? Would he go for this small size?
I really like this bet, to your point exactly, on like, what is the guy, what does he have? And sort of, I just all around, I like this sizing to try to get.
And he got a fold. Notice a great fold here from Daniel, right? Because he correctly deduced that, like, I don't beat any value. I don't think he's betting a king. And I maybe what he's inferring is that for that size, he doesn't believe Jack 10 or Jack 8 would bluff that size. So he makes a very good fold where I think a lot of people would have just called it off there for such a small price. He's getting a very good price. But again, when you factor in the calls, you're like, all right, how many combinations of value is there? How many bluffs? And I guess he thought that in that spot, Joven's just not going to have nearly enough bluffs, even getting such a really good price.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. I want to come back to the thing about the small 3-betting, because I've done this show for numerous years, and it did sort of seem like overnight I started noticing that. And you mentioned the Brazilians. Could you give any more, like, what specifically, like a group or a stable, or you saw them start doing that online or live? What was it?
Both. Yeah. I just noticed the Brazilians making these small raises. I think it was like Yuri Zivalevsky and some of the others, that are the young Brazilians. And then a lot of people started adopting it as the stacks get shorter, when you're sub 20. Like, I think traditionally people thought if you have 17 big blinds, and somebody opens, you only have one choice: jam or fold or call, right? These guys came up with new ideas where they found some wiggle room where you can actually put in some very small 3-bets, potentially with the intention of folding, or with the intention of seeing what happens behind you. Like in a lot of spots, if two people go all in behind, well, what are those ranges? Those are going to be just pure nutted. So, you could fold there, but yeah, it's really effective. It's really good. It makes the game more interesting and more dynamic. And notice again here, Jovan, all final table, he's been flatting these hands. He hasn't 3-bet them once from the button as well. So now he's got a monster. He's going big size here. I wonder what he's targeting with that big size. He's obviously not bet folding. Daniel doesn't have a decision. I don't know why he's wasting time there. Time is valuable, Daniel. You better make your plays quicker. You're down to 2 minutes.
Yep. 2 players, roughly 2 minutes. They got the most chips, and we could see them tangoing at the end. As a question asks, Lou asks Jeff and Daniel, with the 5-minute time delay, it's more than that, but for the record, but do you think poker players at the table are watching this for information? I mean, I would imagine that they are watching, whether they're listening to our commentary or not, to see what the other players are doing. Any information is helpful, and you get information. Would you bet everyone's tuned in here, Daniel?
Oh yeah. I mean, again, unless you're like, an amateur who doesn't even understand that this exists, or you don't know better, like, it just makes a lot of sense. If you're going to be playing at a final table, you really want to see what everybody's doing and what they've picked up so far. So, of note, you saw Sergio fold the big 8-5 of diamonds in a spot. You've seen Joven, flatting a lot of hands that, could potentially 3-bet. And these are, things that you pick up on in terms of, like, how are you going to play going forward? You need, the more information you have on your opponents, the more of a leveling game exists, but also, generally speaking, you feel like you'll make better decisions. And you also get to see, like, is somebody really out of line, or are they just like 3-betting me with nothing? Yep. You kind of want to know these things.
Yeah, James came in as the second stack, the biggest stack. He is now the second shortest with 6 left. Sergio was the shortest. Effectively, Boyka had 1 big blind, went out the first hand. Sergio was in, let's call it 8 of 8, essentially, with 15 blinds. He now is in with 6 left. So other than that, our chip leader is still chip leader. And there's some pretty tight stacks in the middle. I mean, 20, 23, 21, and 18 million. So very tight.
Yeah, we're a long way to go here. This is far from over, Even Sergio, as you can see, he's got 20 big blinds. Now, when that's the shortest stack in the tournament, that means there's a lot of play left, because the average is, what is the average now? I don't know. I don't see it. Maybe you see it. But it's a decent chunk.
Like 30, 25 million is 40 blinds. So 20 million is about average right now, 20. So 35. So it's enough. It's a lot.
So notice now the weak ace with the ace-9 off. He did it earlier with the ace-5 off. So what you could deem from that is like, well, what does the 3-betting range look like? Well, we're starting to see it. The hands that have some post-flop playability, he's taking flops with. And the ones that are more polar, these bad aces and stuff like that he doesn't really want to see a flop with, well, he's 3-betting those ones. And that's, there's enough data there to see that that's clearly part of his thinking. That's not just a fluke to see as many hands as we've seen play out exactly like that. And that should help you now. So when you are being 3-bet by him, you start to say, okay, well, what are the combos? He's not been 3-betting the ace 10 suited, been 3-betting the ace 9 offs, and I'm sure he would 3-bet the ace king, kings, and queens. So you'd have to adjust your you might like adjust your expectation of what his 3-bet range looks like to, you know, alter your decisions. Like queens here, if he 3-bets this one, well, you know, might work out for him. King queen's gonna
king queen off gonna open, certainly 21 mil here, 35, 36, a little more than that, 30, a little more, a lot of blinds against the chip leader who has flatted a few times. Again, if you thought one of the players behind may be raising or shoving, you could flat, but I don't, there's really just Sergio off 19, so that's not that likely. Probably gonna 3-bet here.
Yeah, we really haven't seen people getting out of line. That's a rather large one. That's surprising. He's made it 7.
3x.
7 big blinds. That's a pretty large raise at this stage from the button. Putting king queen in a tough spot, really.
Yeah, I mean,
king could actually fold here because he's up against the chip leader. It's a hand you could 4-bet bluff with, if you will.
For sure. He's gotten 3-bet a fair amount of times by Jovan. He is going to take the bait, small one, and this is going to work out fantastic for Jovan, who, although
unless he flats and a king comes, because that could still happen. Down to a minute 40. Okay, he's just going to put it in. Don't waste no more time. The king queen, there's no future there. So again, king queen off. That is the hand that people, one of the hands that people could typically use to put in their 4-bet bluff hands. It's a good hand, but when you're 4-betting, it's a bluff. Just like ace 4 suited, ace 5 suited type hands. King queen. And why do people choose king queen off? Because king queen off blocks a lot of premiums. Pocket queens, pocket kings, ace king, and ace queen specifically. And again, it's not, you know, of your 4-betting range, king queen O is going to be at the bottom. It's going to be one of the bluffs.
Yep. That is exactly right. As queen 10 suited going to come in. Ace jack suited, Jin Long, been in a fair amount of pots today. Playable hand.
He might flat this, yeah.
Yep. Knows it's against the chip leader, and he is going to get out flopped with not any spade in sight. Definitely not a great flop. Queen 10 suited, weakish top pair, decides to just slow it down here.
Yeah. Typically on these boards that are monotone with the flushes present, the bet sizing is very, very small. You know, Jin Long just full bluff here. No future. But boom, he hits the ace. It is the diamond, though. So now will Jovan find a way to win this pot by turning the queen into a bluff? I would imagine Jin Long checks now, thinking he has some showdown equity. And the problem for Jin Long, too, is when he flats this raise, the thing is he's not going to have as many offsuit combos. He's going to have a far greater number of flushes than he is going to have like ace jack O or stuff like that. So as played, I wonder if Jovan now decides to bluff this queen. I wouldn't blame him here and go for a big size because he's going to have a lot more flushes. He's going to have the king of diamonds, a whole lot more, a jack, a 10, a 9 that can all value bet for, you know, half to 2/3. I really would like to see Jovan bluff this. Turn this queen into a bluff. And then if he does, I can't imagine Jin Long has a call here. What does he beat after check call on flop, ace turn, king river? Not many things. Oh, he checks it. I think that's a missed opportunity. Again, part of why I say that is because you can deduce from Jin Long's range that, you know, a lot of the hands that call are going to be suited. I think maybe Jovan thought he had some showdown value, which I guess he does, but it's pretty thin. I think he's at the bottom of his range with a queen there. I would have thought that would be a spot that Jovan take advantage of.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it makes sense. The suited combos there, that's more weighted there, and I think that would have been a good opportunity. Although he did have showdown, and now aces for Sergio with the best hand and the worst hand, other than do 7 off, but the lowest totaling hand, 2-3 versus aces suited. Though Roman has played a lot. The implied odds not so much here though. Let's see if he's going to come in or pitch it.
Well, I mean, it's a min raise, right? So, you know, you can theoretically play pretty much like if this was just chippy V, it's a slam dunk call. Obviously, when you add in ICM and, you know, not wanting to go broke with 3 high and the ranges being tighter and all that, you know, you could lean towards fold. But from a odds perspective, it's, you know, you can certainly call there from chippy V perspective.
Yeah, Roman 20 mil decides to pass on there. No one here with much. Ace 5 off in the big line, the best Well, deuces, I guess. Deuces is a pair. We've seen a lot of min raises, right? That's been his game.
He's been min raising in this spot. I wonder if he'll do that with deuces, or will he just start limping a little bit? I think it's important when you play these small blind, big blind spots to have a limping range. He's doing it again. And this one might get shoved in his face. And then, oh, he just calls. Okay. Again, now Jovan actually not three betting one of the ace fives in position.
Wow. And then just the jack eight king just rips in the bet. Nice pickup, Roman there. Russian rocking that. If Russia wins, they would take first place, as long as Germany, which is not to be confused because it is Jovan repping the Austria flag, but the nationality. Not that that's confusing, Daniel, but that is what is at stake. Russia is Russia, so that's easy. We got that down. Everyone else is rocking a different residence and nationality. That's just sort of how it works. This isn't the Olympics where, you know, you're born and you have your country. This is, to be fair though, in the Olympics, you can be born somewhere and get nationality and stuff. So it's not always the same there either. As we see Jovan go with a 2.1 3x 910 for Jinlong. Decent hand in the big blind, but a little scary to be against.
This is one that, you know, you really should defend, frankly, you know, getting this price. And if he's folding the 910, if I'm Jovan and I see this, I'm going to start raising from the small blind more often, right? I mean, because 910, it's good enough to defend there.
Ooh, this could be curtains for Sergio. This could be a very tough spot. Daniel now, not so many chips, ace nine off.
We'll see if Jovan, because I think you're going to see Daniel open. And then the question is Jovan going to flat again, even though he's up against the less than 20 big blind stack? I think this one he's got a three bet based on the stacks behind. I think this is one you don't really want to play multi-way. Just get it heads up, put it in. You know, you're now six-handed. I think this one's, you want a three bet.
Yeah, he also has 52, right? If he somehow gets in a flip or a weird spot, he's still going to have around 40. Really nice find there. Small this time, 3.5. And Daniel's got to be frustrated. They say don't take things personal for agreements, but at some point you start getting a little bit agitated. He did fire back with the king queen and ran into it and gave it away. So 54 million. Jovan separating himself. Again, Austria residents, but repping for Germany with regards to the country free rolls.
So if you're Jin Long there on the button with two short stacks battling, it's actually a spot where you can open up much wider and you can actually just rip, applying maximum, you know, ICM pressure. Look at the difference, right? You're talking about sixth place is 529,000. Now these guys folding out. If one more player goes broke, they win 685. That's a lot of money. It's $160,000. Like, you're not just going to throw that away going YOLO. I'm going to call you with king five because you're just going to have to fold, which allows Jin Long's in the best position for that at the table with the short stack.
I mean, that can be counterintuitive too, because he's looking right now. He's probably also saying, wow, I'm in second. It's 1.49 million. I just don't want to mess it up. But in order to keep the pressure and keep that stack, there are those spots where you get to leverage your chips and put them to work. So a very, very fine line, but he is going to play on caution in that moment as we see tens for Sergio against Jovan. And gonna rip, knowing he's opening super wide. I think this is just
you kind of like look forward to spots where you can re-raise the chip leader, because the chip leader is going to be the one that has the most raised folds out of anyone, right? So really, oddly enough, you'd think, oh, don't mess with the chip leader, but the truth is that's exactly who you should be messing with, because the chip leader is the one that's going to be the most out of line. And he doesn't care that much. It's like, all right, well, whatever. I'm going to keep raising and I'm going to force you out of hand. And every once in a while, guess what? Just because I'm chip leader raising, sometimes I'm actually going to have it too, you know? Like, I get dealt aces and kings too. And that becomes difficult to play against too, because sometimes you just run into it. So based on what I've been seeing with Jin, I would actually raise this 4-5. It won't work. Good. Like it a lot. He's applying pressure on the number two stack, knowing that Jin Long right now, the only person that can bust him right now, you know, has just raised his big. Now, King Jack, way too good to fold. 4-5 has to bet this flop too sometimes. He's got a gutter. He's got the backdoor flush draw.
Yeah, this is one of those sort of lucky situations for Jovan where he's going to get a semi-bluffing hand. He's got a heart working too, goes big and going to force folds from hands like this. And
what's going to happen to him? He's only got 44 seconds left on his clock, Jeff. Is there time added at any point, or is this just
Nope. We're going to get to see him. You're not out. To clarify, though, you get 5 seconds per street. So a big disadvantage, but it's not like you can't play. You're just going to have a, you know, like you said, it's a commodity. It's going to be a disadvantage at that point.
So if you're like playing against the guy now who has very short chips, you can actually take advantage of that by trying to put him in more difficult spots that were like with larger sizing, some unique things, some unorthodox stuff. makes him think a little bit more. That's another added wrinkle of using the chess clock is, not just chip pressure, but time pressure.
Right.
Jovan.
Well, and more so when you do get in a pot with them, especially once they actually are at zero, to not think yourself, right? You want to just or if you know what you're going to do, you want to act quickly to make them have to force decisions. So yes, that is for sure. Here we go. Good spot for the king, queen suited. Also may just go ahead and surfs up here, although putting on the risk is scary, but you do have a good hand and you know that
again, against the chip leader, these are the spots that you look to take advantage of. It's going to be a wide and just call.
Yeah, so pick up there, important for Daniel. He's got 12 million. We see 14.8, 12.2. So 3 stacks very similar, and then 2 stacks similar. And then we got the chip leader who is got more than basically first, second, and third combined, roughly in a stack. So pretty good spot for Jovan, who has taken it wire to wire thus far. And E6 gonna rip it in.
Yeah, again, pretty easy, poker when you're short stacked in the small blind. Just math comes into play. An ace is good enough to rip. If you get called, okay, well, let's gamble. Interesting. I think Roman here with the queen 9 suited has the toughest decision at the table, 6-handed, probably just a fold with all considerations in play.
Yeah.
Now, Jovan, the chip leader, he's going to defend. And this is a board where Jovan, if he's facing a bet, he can actually mess around. I mean, this isn't a great hand to do it with. He doesn't have a lot going on that board. Now that he hits the 5, I would imagine he's betting always. I think he would be betting a high percentage of this turn. Apply the pressure to gently checks. That's surprising. Checking to check call. Huh.
Yeah, I don't know how many how many 10s he's going to have. I guess he has a few, but not a ton.
But I mean, whatever. You really want to deny equity to these overcards and stuff. Yep. Against small, I mean, it's quarter pot. You just have to call now, I think. I mean, what is he going to check raise? Heck, you could check raise, frankly. You could turn this into sort of a odd bluff / equity denial, right?
Right.
You force the ace queen. He's only got 30 seconds. He's going to check raise. So he's actually going for the full bluff, if you will. This isn't just he's actually trying to bluff him off a big pair. Obviously, Jinlang doesn't really have a decision here. That's interesting. That was kind of interesting from Jovan, expecting the turn bet and then getting the check raise in. Because there's not a lot of really strong hands that he can have there, Jinlang, to check back and then, bet small on turn like that. It didn't smell like something real big. All right, so we got Jinlang in the big blind with the ace-4 off now.
Yep, this is a mystery hand. And we got 7,500 watching. Hope you're enjoying. Let us know where you're watching from. Appreciate those thumbs up. We will get the giveaways going here in the stream. Must be subscribed. Must hit the thumbs up. And we're going to let Daniel take this through here with a ace-4 off. We saw him do this wasn't a big raise last time. He shipped it earlier on the same.
This is different. This is under the gun.
More big blinds.
Yeah, I think it's just a call. And now just flat out check call all day. There's no point in ever check raising an ace-9-5 rainbow board. You really shouldn't have any, especially against the under the gun. Like, what exactly are you claiming here? Are you going to have bluffs like 7-8, 6-7? You can check call with those two. There's really nothing to do here but check call. You're a little bit concerned, of course, that, your opponent he did raise under the gun. There are 2 other aces. He could have a better ace. You're hoping he has kings or queens or something like that. A little concerned too, you're drawing dead now, right? Ace-10, ace-9, ace-5, drawing dead against all those hands. You really want to see Sergio check, actually. You don't want to face a bet. You could actually fold this potentially. Against
Sergio going to likely c-bet something decent here. Let's see. I mean, obviously he could have a wide variety of hands as he is under the gun, 6-handed, but 2.2.
I think, again, now that the clubs have gotten there and there's the 9-10, that opens up the opportunity for Sergio to be betting sort of a combo draw, or even a hand just like King Jack with a club or something like that. So he's going to check out with the ace. Now by this river, if I check here, it's a very difficult decision because Sergio's going to have showdown value. He doesn't need to bluff your draws, the 7-8 that they maybe peel the turn, the 2 clubs with the 6-7, stuff like that. So for Sergio to bet here, you'd think this is very value heavy. And I actually think I would probably fold if Sergio jams here because you're really just beating the bluffs. And it doesn't look like I'm folding. I'm folding this ace. Yeah, this is a tough spot. He's putting a lot of pressure, 3 streets. repping really like ace 10, pocket nines, even an ace queen, ace king, ace jack type hand.
He does not
You don't
have
block
a
any of the
club.
bluffs though.
Doesn't have a block. Doesn't have a club, jack, queen, or king. I mean, it's close. Sergio capable as well. I just think, I think you're right.
I think against Sergio in this spot, you know, with how much he values his chips, I would fold. But in theory, you probably can call here some of the time, or a good amount of the time, because, like you said, you're not blocking any of the bluffs at all. That 4, you know, is totally unrelated to the board. But I still think in this situation, do I think that Sergio's going to 3-bet barrel, 3-barrel bluff here? Not often enough. I think
this brings us back to the 5-8 of diamonds hand. You know, he values his life and he knows he's in a decent spot. And I don't know. I think I think you're right.
I've already folded mentally.
I'd go with fold, and I wouldn't love it. I definitely would think that I could have got taken advantage of, but I would find.
I mean, he did bet 40% on turn, which is, you know, it's reasonable amount. Like, and he got called. So I think I'm going to check fold here. Jin
Long in the tank. Audience, 1 call, 2 fold. What do you got? 1 call, 2 fold. Tough spot. Jin Long burning clock. 31 seconds for Jovan on the shot clock as well. And Daniel at 134. We could see some drama today with some chess clocks low. I mean, this is definitely worthy. Huge moment for everyone involved. Could be a knockout. Could be Sergio with a lot of chips. Could be a lot of things. We got people in there. No, a lot of split decisions. You could
I don't know who Jin Long is, but I'm leaning towards this is value heavy. I'd be really surprised if Sergio's bluffing here. Oh my God. Wow. No, he hit the 10. Yeah, he had the 10.
Okay.
So that's interesting. So he double barreled with the 10 with the intention of checking back river. He was applying pressure to a 9, a 5. He felt like he had the best hand, and that was going to be his last bet until bink, he hit another 10. So yeah, so I would have folded, and good fold there from Jin Long.
Yeah. Wow. Wild. Big, pretty unlucky river, right? He's going to get the check mark there on a lot of rivers. So nicely played from Sergio, got a little help. And now look how tight it is. I mean, this is shaping up, Daniel, into a nice situation for Jovan. 15 million, 16 million, 13 million, 13 million, and the direct position on Roman with 21 million. So here we go. We're getting to see already blinds, a little bit of this.
You know, like as you can see in the top corner, 2 more hands and the blinds are going to go up again. So
yeah,
that's going to shrink the stack sizes even more.
Again, Jovan repping Austria from his residence, but Germany is the flag for the country. For the this is another hand. This is one of those. We might just get to see a lot of jamming coming up here, from Jovan.
He could, you know, he could just rip. That's the thing, is because when he's ripping, he's forcing his opponents to really just only play like super
this is
premium.
A nasty ICM moment, really. If in that spot, right, you got ace queen and you're gonna call it
Sergio's
off for
going with this
$1 million.
Yeah, I expect Jovan to min raise this one, and then Sergio. I mean, I don't see a way out, you know, for Sergio.
Wow, I'll tell you this.
He's gonna have to play this flip.
I'll tell you this: if we see 5 and Jovan holds with the queens in the flip, basic flip, he is officially in a runaway situation.
But if he loses it, all of a sudden, you got Sergio with 32 million and right on your heels.
Yep. Good luck. That is a real good luck. The D-Neg's good luck. He's rocking the thumbs up. Let's see. This is a massive moment. Ace right away. Sergio, no waiting. Turn is clean. Now has to fade a queener. We're going to have Sergio folded the 8-5 of diamonds to be in a massive spot. There it is. Just blink. He's got 33 mil. And he is in a massive spot.
I'll tell you what, if I'm Jovan right now, I'm feeling pretty annoyed because I'm like, man, I was in complete control. I'm raising every pot. Now I pick up a monster and I still lose. And he threw egg at him. You saw that, right? Right.
Yeah, that was a real egg. I actually felt
egg on his face.
That felt like a genuine egg shot.
I could smell that egg. It was
nasty.
That
was legit. He might even, and now, I mean, yeah, things change a little. He's back at 45 mil. He's still healthy.
Wow, this is interesting. Oh no, never mind. 1.8. Yeah. We got a flat from the small blind with the king 7 suited. That's another thing I think solvers sort of added to the repertoire is these suited kings from the small, which, you know, in traditional poker, we would fold these hands. As it turns out, he's flopped well. He's outflopped Daniel with that middle pair and the backdoor flush draw. Going to be check. Now, if I'm Roman, I don't love that turn card, frankly, but a small bet certainly makes sense.
I don't think that's that king 7 suited there in this position, in this spot, in this moment. I don't think that's
it is. It's a thing. I think it's a thing.
That is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Again, according to theory world, right? So a bet, and he calls here with the ace king on the turn. Now the question is Roman going to decide to turn this into a bluff? He's blocking king queen with that king, but he, you know, he has some showdown value. He beats ace queen and he beats ace king. You know, I do think it's probably close to bottom. Maybe it's a hand you want to bluff with. Now, if you're Daniel, do you go for this one? You also block king, queen, and you don't have much showdown value as played. Very unlikely that Roman check called or just flatted pre leads this turn and is checking out. He's going to bluff it. Wow. Very nice here from Daniel. Really fantastic bluff. Way to find it. That was fantastic. Good job there.
That's a great hand.
Always being cognizant of the board texture. What's changing? What do the ranges look like? You know, thinking maybe on the turn I'm good, but no, now when he checks now I'm not. So what's my alternative? Give up, let him take the chips, or play with some guts, and he does. Risky,
that is a lot of guts. 6th place is 529, and now all of a sudden he's basically, I mean, he's technically in 3rd, right? Right now, like he is tight, but tight. Like that's a huge
love to
equity.
See it. I mean, I have respect for. I love to see when guys are willing to pull off those bluffs in spots where, again, on right away, immediately could just burn up 160,000 in real money.
Very, very strong play there. Yeah, no, I agree about king 7 suited. I'm just saying I would, in that spot, in this moment with the IC, I'd be surprised if that is a call. But I obviously I think, you know, flatting suited kings, small blind versus button in spots. I think I'd like to look at that one.
I think he was deep enough to make the call, frankly. But, and again, who cares?
Well, because it was Daniel's effective stack though, right? Daniel only had 10 million.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's probably still fine. Jack 2 suited defending. When you're getting these prices in the big blind, you know, pretty much any 2 suited cards are usually worth a twirl. Easy fold now. Good bet from King Jack to just pick it up on the flop. And when you're Roman and it comes 9-7-3, you really just think, please fold, please fold, please fold. Jin Long might get frisky here against the chip leader. Now, again, we talked about it. Who's the guy you want to target? The chip leader. Ace 9-0 rates to be way ahead of what Jovan's going to open with, right? He's going to open a whole bunch of bad hands. So you can make an argument here for just grip it and rip it if you're Jin Long. Again, you have to worry though about those ICM considerations.
What about
Jovan is no longer open ripping now because of course Sergio, you know, can put a real dent into his stack. Okay, so he's going for the small 3-bet, very small 3-bet. And it's going to be a jam.
Jovan, no waiting.
Has to fold.
No burn, 31 seconds remaining clock. He just said, I'm putting it in here.
He's going to have to just put it in now. No more fake tanking.
Did not like that. Jovan back up to going between Jovan and Jovan, but he's over 50.
I like the way that was played anyway. You know, you might say, well, why'd you do that, Jin Long? I like it. I think that's really good. You know, you can't sit around on your hands and wait for like aces and stuff like that. And you're up against the chip leader and the cutoff, like open wide, you know, you got to get in there and fight. And I like ace 9 off specifically as a good hand to do that with.
Yeah. This is also now
Daniel jamming this one too.
Yeah. You look around, there's 2 shorter stacks, fairly shorter. So it's close though. And now he's going to be in a bit of this is interesting. Got himself a bit of a situation now.
I was expecting a check back from Jovan there. He has enough hand and now he's flopped. He's turned a monster. Daniel might elect to like bet small here, you know, folding out some king high hands or whatnot. And again, a 7 is very reasonable card for him to have in his range. Also straights and a 9 and 8. Now Jovan, I expect to go half or less. Yeah, he's going small. That's what my initial thought was he goes small here. If you're Daniel now, for this price, you could have the best hand with ace 10. Like this bet could be ace 3. Now you made the straight. So you're like, wee, let's go. But the flush got there. The board's paired. I think this goes check, check. Jovan has to hate that card.
Yeah.
Any card in the deck he's thinking about, it's not the 6 of spades.
Yeah, the jack would have been that would have been the one, right? The jack. So he got a really nice card.
Well, this is dangerous now. This small lead might cost him the pot. If Jovan had more time, he might see this as a spot where, you know what? I have 3 7s. I no longer win, but I block a lot of full houses. So I could turn this specific hand into a bluff and I could stick it to him and put them all in. He called instead. Feeling he has some showdown value. Again, that's something you think about in these spots. You're like, all right, well, I was trapping. And the worst card in the deck came, but he went small. Yeah. Does he have nutted hands here or can I rep him? Interesting.
Well, lot to play for. We're taking a short break. We'll be back in 5.
In case you haven't noticed, we're into breaking records at the World Series of Poker. Bigger and better is just how we roll. We did it this summer, as you saw, with the main event. Speaking of the main event, the WSOP just had a super idea for this year's WSOP Paradise in the Bahamas. For the first time ever, WSOP will host the super main event, a $25,000 buy-in with the biggest guarantee in the history of poker. Wait, is that number right? 50 million? What? 50 million? You guys are nuts, for real. Huge prize pools, massive water slides, fun for the whole family, and the chance to hunt bracelets with the beautiful backdrop of the Bahamas beaches just a few sandy footsteps away from the poker room. 15 bracelets will be on the line with buy-ins ranging from $2,500 up to $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, a $1 million buy-in. The WSOP has partnered with the Triton Millions to bring the largest poker tournament in WSOP history back home. So what are you waiting for? Come make history with us again at WSOP Paradise.
Welcome back. This is GGMillion Special Edition Bracelet Event. Daniel Negreanu joins myself. We are having an amazing stream. We've seen a lot of interesting hands, and this is the fun part of the tournament, Daniel. This is where we play. Bracelet is in reach, 6 left, couple of big pots, big flip. from Sergio, who now is a real contender. And we're going to see him probably open his game up a little bit, show his class, his what do you say, his prowess. He knows how to finish. He's been here before. He's won bracelets. He's won a lot of things. And now he's got a very healthy stack where
I mean, obviously results oriented, but look, now he's probably very happy he folded that 5-8 of diamonds.
Yep.
Seeing that he was up against the 9 because he was able to get that stack size anyway, winning a flip, getting lucky in that spot. So in order to win these things, guys, you're going to have spots where queens against ace king comes up. And if you win those, you can win. But if you don't, there's like, it's out of your hands. The hands play themselves. And, you just got to put yourself in positions to be able to get lucky and finish the job, as Sergio's done a great job maneuvering so far.
Yeah, I believe over 1,400 runners in this and 1.9 to first. So again, to win tournaments, going to win flips, got to get there a little bit, get a little lucky, put pressure, make big calls, big folds. And this is, again, congrats to all the players here. A lot of money locked up. Over $500,000 and a lot of buy-ins. Still more to play. There's a 6-4, Daniel. Famous hand from last week. 2 big runners
Missed
for big
the rip.
pots. But
Missed the rip.
Jin Long did not take that pad solver. Patrick Leonard had a spot with aces and 6-4 off. He put in. I don't know if you saw that, but that is there's some interesting thoughts on the 6-4 off, as we are still 6-handed and Jin Long now our short stack. Yeah, he's got what, 10 blinds exactly.
10 big blinds, yep. 10 bigs.
Had over 7,500 watching all over the world. Got a lot of people representing their country and rooting. And we see ace 4 gonna get called. Big moment. Ace queen. James in the lead, dominating Sergio. And a flop that is still good for ace queen. Really good for ace queen. Gonna need a chop. King only, or else that's gonna be chips James' way, who started the day in second and now finds himself back in technically second, but everyone around that mark, right? 22, 20, 21, 20. So really tight. 1 big stack, 1 short stack, 4 right in the middle. This is where Jovan gets to put a lot of pressure on those middling stacks. Jin Long seeing if he can get back in the game. He is down to 10 blinds, and Sergio just going to go right back to opening.
Yeah, pretty big hit for Sergio there. He was really, putting himself solidly in second. He wins that one. Now he's, pretty much tied with Jovan. But again, he just did the right thing. You get an ace against a short stack in the blind. Doesn't play great post flop. There's not a lot to do other than just put him in and hope that the guy folds. And if he does call, get lucky.
Yeah, can chop. As we saw, there was still even the river chop options. Obviously, a 4 to make the wheel. And not a super bad spot. It's dominated, but has life. And he's still back to 24 mil, kind of flip-flopping in second here as some tight stacks in the middle, as he probably will go. Doesn't open the 8-9 suitor this time on the chip leader's big blind.
He just opened 2 in a row. Probably happy sitting on his britches. I'm like, all right, we're good. We got a couple through. I don't want to get all crazy. I'm not suggesting that that's what he's doing. It's also just a hand that doesn't need to open, on his stack size because of position. Each time, each position you get further away from the button, your range should tighten just a little bit.
Yeah. He did just fold ace 9 off there. A little surprised on that one with the chip leader in the small blind, but
you can make a case for opening those. Yeah, both of them really. Oh, he could open the entire round. Oh, but you know what? Why open those hands when you can just get kings? And
Jin Long
has a hand. He could actually flat here, as crazy as that sounds, or he could jam. He could flat, take a flop type of situation. If he flats, Sergio goes all in. Jovan folds. Now he's pretty much pot committed. Or he could just jam here. The thing about jamming is he just doesn't really have a lot of fold equity. Got 8 bigs.
Well, he is dominating Jovan, so he got that part of the equation right. He didn't factor in.
This is bad news for him. I mean, when you do this, the one hand you don't want to run into is exactly king. And that's the situation we have here with Sergio. Sergio wasting a little bit of time, doing a little bit of Hollywood, I guess. He's got plenty of time to work with. Really just he's hoping to get Jovan somehow. He goes all in.
Did rip it, and you're gonna see the percentages are off the board. Needs some runners.
Oh,
that is one of the better flops. Needs a jack. Needs the jack only. You got the 9%, 9.09%. River card. Is it paint? No sweat. GG Jin Long gonna go out in 6. Congrats, golfer claps around, as he is gonna take home over $500,000. Now everyone guaranteed more. You can see the payouts in the lower left. 5 left. Sergio back to 33 million. Jovan in the chip lead still, and the other three players around 20 million.
Yeah, nice pay jump for the players. Again, now like the pay jump is again very significant. You're looking at 888,000 for fourths, so over 200,000 on the line to outweight your opponents. That has to play into the way you play your hands. It's a lot of money. It's just something you can't ignore.
Yeah, going to welcome everyone to hit the thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe because that will be the first part of the giveaway here. Going to do a $50 and $100 ticket coming up. We'll let Daniel be involved with the keyword, and that will be a in-game giveaway here. So good luck. We are going to see a winner today. That will be a new bracelet winner. I guess Sergio has a bracelet. I don't know if any of the other players do. I don't think so. I see Jovan took a 4th place at an EPT this year. Also won a 10K high roller in Cyprus in May. So playing some good poker in the moment, in form.
Frustrating to have to fold the king queen when you're 5-handed, but I mean, again, with the ICM implications, it's probably a little too light to call off for 18, and he's going to make the correct fold. If he saw his hand as ace jack, well, you're getting the right price, but again, you don't necessarily want to gamble in this spot, and it could cost you directly 200,000.
This is an interesting moment. Sergio with the king jack off, 5-handed, knows the chip player's opening wide, could take a shot to be aggressive. And
I think he folds. I think he's going to fold. Or a small 3-bet. Okay, that makes sense too.
You went pretty big there. Yeah, assertive play makes
not a hand you want to flat with, really, with the offsuit combo. Yeah. The suited ones play better posts, so he's basically taking the king jack off and bluffing. That's a good aggressive play. I thought he might actually fold with the players behind him, but I'm glad to see that Sergio went for it. Now he's really closing in on the chip leader, picking up some hands. He's even folded hands that they're open. He's getting a lot of hands right now. Things are really going Sergio's way.
Yeah, that was a big moment though, to take that shot. That's a big sort of chance if he happens to run into a real hand there. It's gonna be a bigger separation. Instead, now he's really is like closed in right there, viable. And someone just said something and then okay. And it looks like James Mitchell is sitting out. I don't know what's going on there. But
someone's sitting out, so everyone said they're gonna wait 5 seconds for him. Yeah, I don't know. That's unfortunate. Did he have connectivity issues?
Not sure. I did just see an okay, but I did from Daniel. I don't know who he was saying that to. I didn't catch any other.
I think, he was saying it to the table, saying, guys, we should give this guy a little bit of a break here. But I don't know. Hey, that's interesting. Like, how do you handle these situations? You ask, would they do it for me if I was in those spots, or should I just take advantage of maybe some shoddy internet from James over there?
Well, I can tell you this. This is officially probably 4 is going to be slowing down. The clock is at 18 seconds, 19 seconds, and ace jack. Sergio's got a winner unless he can avoid a 4, and he will be literally right on the heels of Jovan, and he is going to bet, and that is going to be a takedown surely.
Well, I mean, Jovan is almost on a 5-second clock anyway. Yeah. He's got, the most he can take in any one hand now is on any street is 24 seconds, right? And then that'll be it. It'll be 5 seconds to the finish. Every hand. Yeah. We have James back. Is he sitting out still? He's sitting out.
I believe. Sitting out. That's, it's on the light.
You better have a backup. Better have some backup internet.
Yeah, let's see. Jovan gonna go. It adds an interesting dynamic when you start min raising here and the button's sitting out. So Sergio's effectively the big blind in this spot with King 10. So he's gonna call, and this is gonna currently work out better for Jovan at the moment. Flops top pair. James would have had top pair for what it's worth.
What was Jack 8 suited? Jack 8, yeah.
Yeah, Jack 8 of spades.
Right, so maybe he's making money by not even being here.
This would have, this could have been he would have defended.
I'll tell you what, if I'm one of the other guys with a similar stack, I'm kind of annoyed he's not here because I'm like, oh God, do we all have to just fold and like wait for him to bust? Or because again, if he's not here, he's going to be here for another 30, 40, like 50, 40 hands or so. It'll take.
I was just thinking, he can jam here. He can jam this one. That makes sense. Ace 5 suited against the one, basically one. It's like small blind, big blind, and a nice hand to do it with. He did get called. He had the ace 4 off that ran to ace queen, but now 40 mil, 45 mil, and I don't know what happened. Did he say I feel like maybe in the chat, someone saw what happened. I saw someone say something and then Daniel said, okay. But it's almost like he said, I gotta be right back or something. You know, like, is he sitting out by himself? I don't know. No idea what's happening.
All
but
basically,
right now,
so that what everyone's decided, it looks like, is to just waste their 5-second clock, not their, any of their chess clock. So,
oh man, wow, James, this may be a nice coffee break or whatever he's doing.
He went for a coffee, might.
Whoa, wait a sec. Oh no,
God.
the full drama river needs help on the river now. Can it pair for the actual?
4 across, he wins. It's a winner.
What is it?
4 across, 9 or 10.
Oh, it is. It's a 3. It's a 9. Unreal. Yeah. What a run out. Kings gets it. That was crazy. James is back, I believe, as well. I think James just came back in. It looks like he's not.
Looks like we got James back. We got Daniel on less than a big blind now.
Wow. What a hand that was. What a run out. You're right. That was a 9 or a 10. That is a boat. The slow peel on GG sometimes gives you just a little bit of enough to know, and that is what happened. 17 seconds. His clock may not come into play as he has.
Roman's been doing this min raise thing all day. I've never seen anyone do this as consistently as he's doing it. I would have expected some limps, but he's just taking initiative. He wants range advantage. Probably is going to get him bluffed off this spot. I think if he checks, I would imagine Jovan bets this turn a high percentage of the time. He's got that 5 working. Oh, and he goes big too. Yeah. So one of the disadvantages sometimes too is like, you raise from small, you bet the flop. What if a person just calls, and then you check the turn, they just bet? It's kind of like exactly what happened here. It's what you typically like to avoid as much as possible. But what happened here? We have a freeze. Oh. There we go.
We're back.
We are back.
Little shout out to Artur Mortorizian, top player, GGMillions all-time ranking, has in 8 million through 42 final tables and 10 wins. Pretty crazy statistic there for Artur. Another one you probably battle with a fair amount.
Yeah. Another good aggressive player.
Roman with 32 mil, going to go ahead and kick up ace king suited. And Daniel now is on officially half a big blind, just over. Going to take the big blind next hand, I would imagine 4 or 5 off with 5 seconds on the shot clock. He's using the full clock, at least. He's getting his money worth on the clock.
I would wait. I think that's the right play.
Yeah.
Now he's going to have half a big chip in a chair. Again, in this spot, he folds. Somebody could go broke. Aces against kings. It is what it is. Unlikely, though, the way the chips are like kind of coming together now. The 3 bigger stacks. So king 5, what's he going to do? Is he going to limp here or going to raise?
He's going to raise. I thought he was.
No, he's limping. So the reason for the limp is he wants to play this. It's not collusion, but the idea is want to increase the chance that they bust Daniel. So it gives up a little bit by letting the 3rd player in, but it looks like Daniel's going to be in good shape here because he just made queens up.
Wow. Yeah. Not over. Certainly everyone looking for that knockout. That's for sure, with the pay jumps massive and him so short, but now he does get the up to 2 million and through the blind. So got a little chance. Ooh, Jack 10.
Yeah. He's got a big, but with Jack 10 suited, I mean, against the button raise, I think I'm going to go with this one. They'll be crazy to fold this. I mean, you can't outweight anybody. This isn't the case where you're going to, get a 200K pay jump by folding. This is too good of a hand to fold. Question is, what does James do? I think James is in a tough spot because he's like 4th in chips, right? So he doesn't want to go broke either. And, Roman has a lot. Oh, so he's just going to jam it, force Roman to have a hand. Roman's going to fold. So ace jack, it's Jack 10 suited.
Yeah, 5.4 in the middle. Jack 10, pretty good
always
flop.
A sweat.
Open-ended, needs to get a big river here, the 9 or the ace. And
there's the 9.
Wow. 9 is
oh
hot.
Man. What if he wins
on the river? Wow. 5.4 million. That hurt. That was big. And he's loving it. He's dancing. He's feeling good. He's got 5 blinds and the Jack 10 suited.
He's going to be all in again. And this time he's going to get called. Can he do it again? Can he win with the worst hand here? Dominated one more time? He beat. Oh my God. Well, he did lose.
Going to call. Yeah. Queen Jack, Jack 10 suited. Can he run it back? 2 times dominated. He needs help again. And that is quite a flop.
Same.
Quite a flop. Maybe too many outs. Now needs help. Club or a 10 or he will be out. It is a 10.
Yes.
Wow.
This is nuts.
Unbelievable.
This is crazy.
Daniel on the, that is
He's back in it.
double.
He had half a big blind. He folded out less than half a big blind, and now he's got 11.5. And James has to be just like so frustrated. Not only
it's all funny. Everyone's dropping emojis. Everyone's saying, okay, yeah, that was crazy. Now it's actually a real thing. And he is officially in it.
Well, I mean, if you're James, you just had 3 shots of $200,000 that you got unlucky on, and you weren't even involved. You were just watching.
Yeah. Well, 9,000 people watching. We're going to get the giveaway here once we lose one more player. Also, the audience was sweating the knockout. They want to get that $50, $100 tickets in the air going. Once we hit 1,000, I'll do that anyway. We got a lot of people in thumbs up. A lot of people in the chat. Appreciate you. Jordan Houston joins us too. A little verified on YouTube. What's up, man? Good to see you. A lot of familiar faces here. People are losing it. This guy is doing the chip in a chair thing, Daniel. He's doing, we're talking about it, half a blind. Also, 4 seconds on the clock. Here. We could see 2 players with no shot clock here. This is all the drama, all you can ask for. This is absolutely wild. Yeah, 2 weeks in a row, some high drama in the ace-8 suited 9s. Sergio just going to call.
2 chip leaders right here. I think the 9s is a flat. I think he's not going to 3-bet this one.
He's going
to take a flop with the 9s, and he would call the back jam from one of the shorter stacks.
Wow.
What the hell?
Wow.
Top set. Wow. Sergio's running
Sergio.
high.
The life of Sergio, but there is runners, two runners possible, and let's see if we can get. Ooh, wow! He chose the wrong time, Daniel. there is likely a shift in power at this final table.
He's going big again. This is a range advantage situation. Like, he's thinking at best, Sergio has like, king 9 suited, ace 9 suited. He's never going to see 9s coming. Now he's got the straight draw too.
Yeah.
So he could really go for this. If he's going to have any bluffs at all, Jovan, this would be one of them.
I'll tell you what, Sergio's thinking about
he's never had
the Mirage. I know the Mirage got leveled, but he is still thinking about that scene, and he is going to be stepping into it. I mean, look at this board. It looks so innocuous.
Sergio. It's just a pure call. You don't need to raise here. You want to you let him bluff off the 3rd bullet. If he's got an overpair, he's going to fire it. So there's no point in really raising here. Just call if you're Sergio. And there's the king. Now that's an even better card for Jovan. Jovan's going to jam. Oh, this is it.
This is the chat's losing their mind right now. About almost 10,000 on watching. This is going to be, he said he sensed it. He slowed it down a little. Interesting card not to bet at all.
You would think that king is much better for the raiser.
Yeah.
He was bluffing with a hand like king, queen, king, jack, ace, king. It just got there. And it's very unlikely Sergio ever has a king in his hand. So you're really just worried about a set of 9s. That's it. Or maybe 5s. That was unfortunate for Jovan. He ran into it, and well played by Sergio just to flop the nuts.
I'll tell you what, the price, the Vegas odds, the GG incline in-game betting odds are right now. Sergio's a pretty big favorite for things at the moment. Things really shifted his way. 8-5 of diamonds. We'll look back at that hand. We won't know what would have happened, but as we know for Sergio, it's gone well.
He's running unbelievably well, right? Like, the situations have really come together. He had that jack 10. He bet on the turn with the worst hand. He hit the 10. Yep. He's hit a lot of hands and a lot of river cards. And he, of course, most importantly, the ace king against queens flip, which really put him in the position to win now. Now he's got the best hand once again, turning that ace.
Yep, he had it every street here. Pre-flop, flop, turn, river, and now with the river queen, Jovan starting to, maybe that's an annoying one to hit on the river. But,
tough spot. He's raising. What the hell? Check raise. Is this a bluff?
Whoa. Yeah, this is a bluff. Yeah, this is don't blink. 5 seconds, 4 seconds on the clock. Sergio just thinking, what is going on here?
I'll tell you what else too. When a guy has that little time and makes this play, if you're Sergio, you're thinking, well, he would have needed more time to make this bluff. He would have come up with it. So it's going to be much more value heavy. And the way as played, I believe it was check twice. Sergio's going to fold the best hand here. Sergio just doesn't have a lot of nutted hands. So this is one of the dangers of value betting thin against really good players, is sometimes they'll make you pay for it. Obviously, Sergio checks back, he wins the pot. Sergio bets the turn, he wins the pot. But after check, Jovan's like, bro, come on. You do not have a straight. You do not have 2 pair. You're value betting me thin, and I got the guts to do it.
Daniel's in the bonus clock. I don't know why I used it on this hand, but he is officially at zeros, and we got a 5-second clock here as well. King, jack, jack 10. Sergio going to want to check this back. Most likely jack 10, a good hand to check back. He does. And now we are in the streets, Daniel. We got a lot of drama here. This is we got a comeback story. We got people bluffing. We have millions of dollars on the line, 10,000 people on YouTube watching, giveaways to do. We got a lot of action right now.
Absolutely. What a play there from Jovan to recognize that he was getting value bet by an ace and turn the queen to a bluff. Because a lot of people might just say, well, listen, I mean, I beat bluffs with a queen, right? But the check raise is going to get hands better than me to fold, which is really well done. But I get why he did it, right? He's just not buying that Sergio checks back twice with a hand that could sustain the heat.
Yeah.
Jovan might open this and take it.
Dusty hands here. Jack 3 suited, best hand and on the button.
He might open this, I think, with the big blind only having 13. Oh, he folds it. Okay.
Wow, James, that's running good. The two stacks that could put pressure on you there too, right? Against Daniel's only got 9 million. You're getting a walk there is huge. And now kings.
This queen 8 suited could open. Oh, he decides to fold.
Kings. He can't believe it. He's been playing so many hands. So he finally gets a really nice hand, and no one has anything, but still 30. Right
even
around
off
chip
this stack,
40 million.
8 5s. Yeah, it's a little too dusty to call.
Yeah, 40 mil, 245, 40 mil stacks, 31, then 7 and 14. Queen 6 suited. Does fold. So Jovan understanding a little change in dynamic. A big moment was that
rip.
King Jack 3-bet as well. Not a huge pop, but just
this probably plays best as a rip for 14.
Yep, Ace 3 suited. Covers Daniel.
If you open and Roman jams. He folded. Wow. So he just didn't want to play the spot at all. So that's a pure ICM fold. He's got, okay, now he let the king deuce in. I don't like it personally, but I guess he just didn't want to open and fold to a 3-bet, and he just didn't feel like jamming. That's a good hand to do that with. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't get that one. I mean, I get it, like you're talking about 200,000, but just because you fold that doesn't mean you're guaranteed. But it doesn't mean that you
Sherbert.
When you fold it, it doesn't mean you just get it. It's like, oh, I folded it. Now give me my 200,000. You still have to play. You got A7 suited. He's going for it.
Well, A7 suited 5s. We're likely going to see 5 here. Let's see how much is it. He does.
He noticed the 5s folds, right? Earlier we saw Jovan call off for 12 with the 5s. Yep. Look at Sergio folding to 9. Again, he recognizes that best case is flip. Jovan didn't. Jovan actually, took that spot that Sergio didn't. Now, this is a hand that can raise, by the way. 8 deuce off. You think I'm crazy, but again, typically in these spots, you're raising the very bottom and the top of your range, and that's what he's doing. This is going to be a trend that you'll see amongst good players. And he's coming for 3.8. So with 3-4 suited, it's no future.
Wow, Daniel, we are getting a treat. 10,000 on right now watching a treat. I did not see. The limp call 3-4 suited.
So we got a quarter pot, and he's going to get called. Jovan's not folding. Oh, he's check raising. What?
Wow. This is we're seeing some poker here today. This is wild. New chip leader back. Actually,
I like the check raise, actually, because the 3s have a 3 straight and a 3 flush back door. And it can put some pressure on a hand like 2 10s or middling pairs. And he has a lot of turn cards he can barrel with. So never mind. That was very, very good with 3-4 suited as far as the flop goes. Pre-flop, that might be a little too optimistic, I think, to play 4 high out of position against the guy with chips.
Who's probably the best, most experienced player here as well. But hey, when you're going for the win, like you said, he's going for it. Jovan came with the plan. He's executing it. He is in a good spot. And here we go, 3s. This is a lot of hand here in the big blind versus the button. Chip leader open. Likely surfs up, but hey, it's scary when you realize you might get called and be flipping her out for huge pay jumps against Daniel. So let's see if he does.
Based on the ace 3 suited fold we saw, if that would lead me to believe that he's folding this one too. Although he could call, and he really jam is probably the most optimal play, and it gets through. That's big for him. So him and Daniel now sort of battling for that 200K with the other 3 kind of waiting them out.
And I just got to say, we're at 10,000. I said if we were supposed to wait till four-handed, I'm going to do the giveaway right now. First, we'll let Daniel choose the keyword. This is going to be a $50 ticket for the first one. We got 101 coming up. 10,000 watching. Let us know where you're watching from. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe. That is part of the giveaway. We're seeing some crazy stuff right now. We have 2 people on literally no shot clock. He might go into it 1. I think he's down to 1. We are got it. Give me the keyword, Daniel. What are you feeling for a keyword?
Keyword. Let's go Rasta.
Rasta.
R-A-S-T-A. Rasta.
Wow. All right. I
I've
like
been
that.
watching
That's
Bob Marley
the Bahamas
movies.
theme coming up. I
Yeah.
was gonna hold on. People are going wild in the giveaway. Calm down. Let me put in the chat once. And this
What?
is all. And he ripped it.
What
We're
the
playing.
hell?
People are going wild right now.
The
This is
ace-5
some big boy
suited.
poker.
Was that a 5-bet rip? That was.
Yeah.
They're going for it. So Sergio just really pushing it. Both of them really. When now Sergio picks up aces, is this real life?
This is a real. No, it's probably not. But this is wild. This is no one's got anything though. Hold on. The guy. No one even knows what the giveaway is. Everyone's going crazy in the chat, man. Hold on. The keyword's gonna be GG space Rasta space. Insert your GGPoker username. But no one can even see what I'm typing because there's everyone typing. All right. That's the keyword. We'll get that one going there. That's a $50 ticket. GG space Rasta space your GGPoker username. That's for 50. We got 100 coming up in a second. In theme with the Bahamas, Rasta, December 6th through the 19th. Bunch of bracelet events. Ace 4, power of position. Ace 4 wins it. I can't even keep up with this chat. We're breaking records today. 10,000 on. Biggest prize pool for GGMillions. All kinds of records. Daniel's here. Daniel cashed this event. He was busy. He was somewhere yesterday. He's flying from Vancouver, and now he's here doing commentary. And he's seeing some new stuff. The min raise small blinds new. We're seeing some new things. I've seen a couple new tricks today.
There we have that isn't much of a new trick, but it's what I would do with the 10s for sure. Frustrating for Daniel. He had it all the way to the big blind. He's like, yes, I got to steal through. Nope. Oh, this is going to be a race to take it.
I can't even see. There's too much. I got to pick a winner here. I'm going to get a winner. There's someone literally. I got to find someone. Here we go. All right. We're going to pick a winner. Daniel, this could, I mean, honestly, with the stack at 1.2 million, 60 million, 30 million, this could go fast. 7 million. There's a couple shorties. Jovan's playing to win too. Jovan could run into it.
It's really, what's super interesting to me is just the time. Like they have no clocks. They've used all their time, both Jovan and Daniel, sorry. Good time management from Roman. He's sitting there with 8 minutes. He can sit back, relax, no pressure. The thing about it is when you have no time is like, if you have some complex spots that you want to think about some elaborate bluffs, you typically don't have the time. But what's interesting is Jovan has no time, yet he's still pulling off those bluffs, right? Which is kind of a reverse. Like if you're playing against the guy who's short on time and he only has 2 seconds and he just puts it all in, you'd assume that's just a good hand, right? Because typically when you have a bluff, you need to think about, does this make sense? Is this a good bluff? So reversals there, and they both got through. Or actually, no, the A6 didn't, but, you know, he's going for it.
Well, I want to congrats James Braun. You just picked up 50. Everyone can stop typing in Rasta and all that because that's over. We'll have a new $100 ticket here in a second. That's the $50. So congrats. 10,300 watching right now. We're seeing a new bracelet winner. Unless Sergio, I gotta look up how many bracelets he's won. I think he has won. He's won some bracelets. Sergio's won a lot of things, and he has got himself 2-1 chip lead, 5-handed, in a really good position right now. Daniel on the clock as well, A6, and this could be
bad news again
for Daniel. We could be down to 4 very quickly here. Daniel's dominated. Sergio is in the lead. Chop possible. I guess no. A 4 would make a 6 to straight. Ace is good for Sergio. Needs a 4 or a 6 on the river, or we are going to be 4-handed. That is good game to Daniel. Friend of GG. Team rocking the purple there. Good game, man. What a score. Nice pickup, 4th place. Like 880.
You're looking at, for these 4 players, you're looking at another $270,000 pay jump.
Yeah, that's right. 685 he got. I'm sorry. Now exactly. Another 200 and change. And then everyone will be millionaires if they can make one more spot. 15 million. James is the shortest. All right, we're gonna do a new keyword here. I'm gonna put the tweet out as well because there's $100 there. I forgot about that for a while. So that's a $100. King 10 ripping it in. I mean, he's got 75 mil.
Yeah, well, he's not. I mean, he's in a spot where he can just do that. This one too, 8-9 suited. He can just rip all day. Oh, he's coming for the small raise here. Interesting. So he was ripping the Ace 10-0, the King 10. This one he's going to actually raise fold, or at least that was his intention with the 8-9 suited. I guess what he's trying to do is balance his ranges where his min raises are going to have some monster hands, and some bluffs. Whereas his jams are just going to be hands like ace 10, ace jack, where it's like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? You know?
Yeah,
he's going to have a hand.
He's got a good
hope
plan
to pick it up, but if he gets called, he's got something.
Closing in, he's got 80 mil basically here with ace 10. All right, new keyword going to be GGWSOP space DNEG space insert your GG poker username.
Jonas has to call off. I'm sorry, James has to call off.
Yeah, he's got 10, 11 blinds with.
What the reason is because he's well behind the other two, right? So you're last. You have a suited ace in the big blind, against the small blind, just who's going to be bonkers. And again, Sergio has the best hand.
Wow. 50-50. Fiver spade, turn clean, 2-1 favorite Sergio to be three-handed. It is a river slow peel. That is not a spade. That is not a 5. That is good game. Top 3 are here now. Everyone guaranteed $1 million. We got the keyword rocking. We got everyone rocking here. And Sergio at 95 million, Daniel. This guy is absolutely
I'm envious, man. I have not, this run that he's on at this final table, is every poker player who's ever had a bad run is like, I want that. Give me some of this, whatever that is, man. He's really put himself in good situations.
This is quite a run. This is definitely a run. Here he goes. He is full on cooking here. He didn't just shove. He raised 8-10 off for a now ace deuce suited. Thinking to get involved here.
I think he's done. I think what's interesting now is, everybody's guaranteed 1.15 million. So you've had a good payday, right? Now, how much do you care about, the other 340,000, which is the pay jump to second? You've already had a good payday. I don't think you'd want to be like an anvil that just gets pummeled. Like if I'm going to limp jam here. Sergio might just do it himself. Oh, he might be wary of this one and come with a small raise. All right. He's just going to check and take the free equity. And look at that. He's flopped the best hand with the 6. Will come with a bet. And it's a tough spot for Jovan now with ace high because he's just going to, limp fold it. All right. So interesting. Yeah. Three-handed. How much of the battle for this 340,000 between third and second is going to affect these two players' play? Probably a significant amount. Sergio just going to pick away at him little by little. Min raise.
That's a good way to cross the 100 mil mark in style with ace king. Pretty nice hand. Seems unfair even. He's got the most chips. He's got the best hand. He's on the puck. He has got himself a call, 8-10 off ace king. No player makes a pair. Ace king still in the lead. We are going to see this is just, he's literally got the dream scenario. He's got the two players with exactly the same stack with the big lead. 800K more available. Sergio Adu, I want to point out, has been a guest on the show.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Jovan bluff this. Whether Sergio calls or not, I don't know. But as played, check. Jovan has the 10 high. I could see him, and then big bluff too. Very big bluff. So I think what he's taking advantage of here is he just doesn't buy that Sergio is checking back flop and turn very strong, and he's going to get this through. So kudos to Jovan. I think he's playing really well, frankly. Again, I didn't like the 5s call where he opened and called off for 12. Didn't like that one. But other than that, he's found some really good bluffs and some interesting spots.
Yeah, he also has 2 seconds left, so still hasn't hit that time clock expiration, but hovering on it. He also came in as chip leader pretty much the whole way through, then started tangoing with Sergio back and forth as here he is going to get called. He has the best hand at the moment. We are still 11,000 watching. Crazy day today. What a event. Everyone here guaranteed $1 million. Appreciate you watching. Daniel Negreanu, Jeff Gross. We're going to see a winner, bracelet winner, potentially a new winner. Although Sergio, I got to look it up. You don't know, do you? I know he's won. I'm like 99% sure he's won. I think his bracelet is a he has
He'll
one.
Be in trouble here. If he jams his queen 7, he just raised. Okay. And he's going to have a raise fold.
Yeah, Sergio over 21 million in lifetime earnings, 2 million best cash, 46 all-time list. And he has got himself.
Boom call. Let's go.
Ace, queen, ace 10. Jovan covering. Roman needs help. Ace, queen to ace 10. Clean flop. King 8-3. 2 dimes. No dime for anyone. Needs the river 10. Wow. Just straight clean. Needs to hold, and it will be heads up.
Oh, that's a 4 across. 9 or a 10.
Whoa.
9. It's a 9.
The full sweat. It's a 9. Wow. The full peel sweat there. For a massive pot. What a feature from GG. Got to give. I love the slow. Who doesn't love the slow peel? 52 to 89 million. We're playing. There it is. Money get on the table. Let's see what's happening here. There it is. Bracelet in the money. 90 million to 52 million. We are playing for it. I'm going to announce the winner here. And again, Daniel Negreanu's Twitter or my Twitter, Jeff Gross Poker, $100 ticket. You can still get in that. That is eligible. That is one giveaway. And I got a $100 announcement coming for you in a sec. Let's play some poker. Can he get his first win? Jovan, not a huge deficit here, Daniel. So heads up, lot can happen. This is less than 2-1.
Yeah, no question about it. You know, when you're looking at a heads up match and in terms of how much play there is, all you're looking at it as the shorter stack. And he's got 50 million with a 1.4 big, plenty of play. Should be interesting. Now there's no longer any ICM. It's just like you're going to make the best decision that you think allows you to win this tournament. Each player is locked up almost 1.5 million already. So a nice payday for both.
Yeah, big payout. No deal making. Saw some questions. Can't see anything in the chat because everyone's going crazy for this $100 giveaway. But I did see that there's no deal making. That is going to be playing for a large difference between first and second, and of course the hardware. Sergio actually won the 50K at the WSOP this summer for $2 million.
Oh, right.
That was his largest cash. So there you go.
So another monster for Sergio with aces and tens. And this is a trouble card for Jovan because he's made jacks and he's also got that 9 of spades working for him. So against small, so this is tough to get away from. I think, you know, he might be forced to call at least one more time. You know, Sergio can certainly have a lot of king 4 off bluffs and things like that. Now Sergio's going to go big and Jovan's going to have a bluff catcher that he may find the call here. Expect Sergio to maybe go for like 18 to 20 million with this ace 10. And then Jovan,
let's see how greedy
Jovan cannot go in the tank. He's only got 3 left.
Whoa.
For all of it.
He's going for the whole enchilada here. This is, again, he's got
I think
an okay-ish hand, but it's maybe a little too much. Oh, he called. He went for it. GG. Sergio, winner, champion, 1.9 million. I mean, what a wild hand. That was after so much battling, just over quickly. You can see there he goes, takes it down. Another bracelet in 2024 for Sergio. Been a guest on the show. Daniel, what a day. Some epic stuff. Tell me your takeaways. What are your thoughts?
Oh my God. I want to live in Sergio's shoes for just today, because I'm going to rewatch that final and watch all these beautiful spots, and everything went absolutely perfect. I mean, it couldn't have run better for him. He's obviously a great player. You know, the cards worked well for him together today. And, you know, that last one, I do think that time pressure issue was real. You know, not having any time left to think about whether you want to call with this jack. 2 seconds, stop, you know, call. So time management, a real thing here in these GG series online events.
Yeah, the slow peel, got the full drama on that. We see the time clock, as you mentioned, the shot clock, chess clock, another feature. GG just does it the best. There's a reason. The best software, the best games, the bracelets are on here, and we'll see you in Bahamas in December for that 50 mil 25K. Still flights. Do you know when the flights end for that? Because I know you played several. You're going to be playing again, and then in the Bahamas there are more flights as well online. Is that, do you have a final number? Do you know when that goes? Like when you can play online?
Well, I think the best thing to do is to check the GG client, and you'll see what's available online. And of course, as you said, there'll be multiple heats in Bahamas for me because I am in Las Vegas. I'll have to try my luck playing live poker in the Bahamas.
Beautiful. All right, well, there you have it. Another GG Millions in the book. Epic day. Records all around. Payday records, viewership records. We got another 100 to give away. And again, on Twitter, Daniel's Twitter or my Twitter, $100 ticket. That will be available and entered for the winner tomorrow. So, Daniel, appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Legend of the game, man, the myth, Mr. GG. Pleasure to have you. Hope we have you back again. But, you know, it's for the big ones. We'll save it for the big ones. We'll get you back here again. Appreciate the time.
You got it, guys. Have fun.